Happy Thursday. Indeed it is. Welcome. It is wonderful to have you. We are excited to have you join us on yet another day full of tariff madness. China telling us to stop being a bully, by the way. That's interesting. I can't wait to talk about that. There's a lot of, do I want to call it propaganda? There's a lot of stuff going on social media. People are accusing it of being propaganda of China, pro-China stuff. So it'll be fun to talk about that. And certainly I want to keep myself from getting delusional. And while I am a pro-America guy, because I think everybody should be on the team of their own country, I don't want to become delusional. So we have some BYD stuff to look at in conjunction with the fact that the U.S., our boy Trump, is giving people car loans. Giving people car loans is not quite right. He is allowing you to deduct your car loan if it is a U.S.-made car, as he imposes 25% tariffs on cars not made in the U.S. Boy, oh boy, this is going to be an interesting thing for all of us to live through. And as we go America first, we need to remember that there is a danger to keeping people out of your country, China specifically. Some of the things that are happening with BYD are very innovative, and I do not want to see America reduce its innovation in an attempt to be America only. We got to hold ourselves to a standard, Drew. Welcome.
I like the idea of it because I feel
the idea of what?
Of Trump trying to figure out ways to incentivize American purchase things. Mm-hmm. I think one thing that I've learned from this show is when the incentives are in the right place, it drives human behavior. So I think a lot of times...
Well, even when incentives are in the wrong place, they drive human behavior. That's the glory of incentives, everybody. Show me the incentive and I will show you the outcome. By the way, hello, everybody. Violet, I see you. Ian, what the echo? It is wonderful to have everybody in the chat. Eunice is here per usual.
Josh Rogers is asking, Tom, did you get a haircut?
This is me in recovery.
You were like, I'm not showing my hair.
Very bad haircut. So today was the first day I was like, oh, we can actually do our hair again. It was pretty bad.
That's why you were wearing hats nonstop.
Yes.
Okay.
And I did say that, by the way. I was not trying to keep that a secret.
Yeah.
It was a car wreck of a haircut. We have a new woman doing my hair. And the first 2 times she was fine. And then the third time she clubbed me about the head, neck, and chest. And I don't know why. And because I don't pay attention or communicate, I just work while I'm getting my haircut. I don't know until it's too late if there's a problem.
At your phone?
Literally the whole time.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Okay.
So whenever I get somebody new, I apologize ahead of time. I say, listen, I use this time to get work done. So forgive me. I'm not going to be super communicative. If you need anything, just push my head around. And I'm like, don't be subtle. Literally, if you want me head down, just push my head down. If you want it tilted to the side, just push it so that I can keep working. You have to be efficient, Eunice. I am obsessed to the point of problems in my marriage with efficiency. And if I could do a PSA really fast, don't ever say to your wife, could you tell that story faster? That doesn't play well. It doesn't play well, at least not with my wife. It was a bad move. We learned from our mistakes.
Okay. Hypothetical question here.
Yeah.
If we were in like a Black Mirror universe and you could have like this button to 2x everybody all the time, would you?
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
Like in real life?
Like in real life. What? In Black Mirror, you could block people in real life, remember? Jeez. Like there's that episode.
Wouldn't you?
No, I don't.
Would you even 1.5 them? Wow.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not listening. I'm getting there. Your guys' camp of 2x, but I'm not there yet. Like there's somebody the other day who was like 8x speed. That's all I do. And I'm like,
no,
you're not even listening.
There's no way. Like, first of all, that's just noise at that point.
You're not even
no one can interpret real human speech at 8x. Like that's AI territory.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't buy that. Yes, I would. And everything would be better. And I don't understand. Anybody that wouldn't want to do that. That's madness.
It's like that movie with Adam Sandler with the remote click. Yeah, he fast forwards through everything, and then you fast forward through the subtle moments in life. Sometimes going slow is the reminder that you need. You gotta stop and smell the roses. You can't stop and smell the roses on 2x.
Oh, that's cute.
Listen.
Yes, he can. Give me.
Yes, and I love that. And can we please put that on the list? Admittedly, there are moments that I'm not trying to go faster through. I mean during an information dump. When somebody is trying to convey information like you need to know and understand this thing, yes, I want it faster. If I am holding my wife's hand, like last night, we're laying in bed and I had to work because I knew that we were going to be starting early today. So normally I'll spend a little bit of downtime with her, but because she and I are leaving today, I was like, listen, I just got to bang through this and be ready for tomorrow. And at one point she just scooched over next to me and we were just holding hands. I don't want to fast forward through that. That's amazing. So things like that are wonderful, but information that I want to get as fast as my mind can absorb the information, and not a lick faster because that's pointless. But as fast as my mind can absorb the information, I want to get it.
Okay. So you can either fast forward everything or 0.5 everything.
Fast forward for sure. That's not even a question.
The man.
If you had said 1x, I would have said 1x. But you can't. 0.5 existence that is bamboo shoots under my fingernails. I would not be able to deal with it. That is one where it's like, is life worth living anymore? I could not handle it. Bro, that's like nuts.
No.
Not about that. Now, I don't expect anybody else to imbibe my mental illness, but that is my particular brand of mental illness. Yeah. It's crazy town.
All right. Jumping right into it.
Let's go.
We started about incentives being in the right place. It can motivate humans to do certain things. Before we hear it, just raw dog in the headline.
Yep.
Do you think that there's something here?
Not raw dogging. I love that verbal tick that Eunice has. It is amazing.
I know we want to make you like USA the number one again. I know we want to like stop it, but being the capitalist guy, is this artificially like holding the market back? Is this dam waters that we can't hold back and we should just pivot to something else? Or do you think car loans, incentives to buy American will actually save the industry?
Okay, so to speak on any one of the specific things that he's doing would be a recipe for play this clip and I look stupid in 6 months. So I don't know whether the tariffs on car manufacturing are going to in the long term play out. So I will speak to what he's attempting to do and whether I think that is wise. So what he's attempting to do is bring back manufacturing to the US so that he has talked about deaths of despair. And so when you look at certainly Howard Lutnick, I can remember the interview with All In Podcast where he's talking about deaths of despair. So I know that the administration understands that there are a lot of people that are not suited to find meaning and purpose in a white collar only universe. And so bringing back manufacturing to the US is a twofold must do. One, you're already in a Cold War with China. That could escalate. So you need to make sure that you can actually make things here in the US. Learn from World War II. The reason that we were able to come in and be this force that ended up swaying the course of the war was that we could turn on our manufacturing machinery and switch it from, building normal stuff like cars and whatever to building tanks and airplanes and battleships. We can't do that right now. There is no manufacturing base to turn on unless you're going to software people to death, which is a real thing. But unless you think you can do it all through software, you're toast. So you've got to have some manufacturing. So one, it allows you to not have a boot on your neck from your biggest rival, China, but it also allows you to address the deaths of despair for people who are ill-suited to a white-collar only universe. So it's at least a worthy attempt. Now, whether the hokey pokey tariffs ends up being just moronic, I don't know. We're going to watch that play out. It certainly has created instability in the markets. So this is a game of chicken, as I've said many, many times. And so we'll see if he's able to onshore jobs fast enough. I forget who was saying this, but it echoes what I've been talking about for a while now, which is, are the people who are saying, oh my God, these tariffs, we're going to bring these huge investments into the US from Apple, TSMC, who at some point I really just need to learn their call sign.
SoftBank, all those.
Yeah, all the guys that are promising the whatever $2.02 trillion in investment in the US, are they going to basically stall until the midterms? And if Trump remains in power, then actually do something? Or are they going to go, yeah, he's a lame duck and I'm not doing this? If they do that, then this is all, again, theater, and it's people saying the things to Trump that he wants to hear to get them to be in his good graces. But in reality, they're playing a waiting game. So it may still not work, but I think at least trying it is the right play.
All right, let's pull up Mario Nolfall's tweet. He said, quoting Trump, "If you get a loan to buy a car made in USA, you can deduct interest payments from income tax. We're going to have a lot of people making a lot of cars. We're trying to get approved if we can. If you borrow money to buy a car, you're allowed to deduct interest payments for purposes of income tax, but only if the car is made in America. If the car is made in America, you get a loan, you can deduct interest. That's a big savings." He said the same thing in 3 different ways. All right,
dude, Trump is, and this is one of those things where I'm like, okay, wait, do I learn the lesson that he is trying to teach me? He repeats himself so often, and he makes things so simple. I'm just like, well, there's a reason for it.
Let's hear it.
We have a lot of people making a lot of cars. And one other thing, we have the Speaker of the House with us who's doing a fantastic job. And where's Mike? And we're trying to get approved. Mike, thank you very much for being here. We're trying to get approved, if we can. If you borrow money to buy a car, you're allowed to deduct interest payments for purposes of income tax, but only if the car is made in America. So if the car is made in America, you get a loan, you can deduct the interest. That's a big saving. A lot of people in
huge. Nobody's ever seen anything like it.
The biggest savings ever. I mean, the car market is currently expensive. So used car prices, I want to say, have like doubled since the pandemic. So it's one of those things for people, young people, people who might be in a bit of a bind who need a new car. This is an incentive to buy an American-made car. It seems like it's a good.
Yeah, I mean, listen, people are going to say that tariffs are inflationary. I think Lutnick's differentiation between inflation, which is prices everywhere on everything go up, and a non-US made car becomes more expensive. Those are two different phenomena. That doesn't mean that the American people are going to like it. American people might be like, fuck American made. I don't care about this shit. Like, I want the best car, and that's BYD, and stop fucking me up. That is entirely possible that becomes the reaction. But I doubt it. I have a feeling that it's going to be something more like this breaks along political lines, and people on the left absolutely despise it because it's Trump putting it forward, and people on the right cheer for it like seals because Trump put it forward. So if it brings manufacturing jobs back, I'm going to feel pretty good about it. If it fails to bring manufacturing jobs back, then I'm not going to be a big fan because I think it's going to stifle innovation. And I think everybody understands my obsession with innovation. So,
and this is also in conjunction with the 25% tariff on all cars not made in the U.S. So this also impacts domestic made vehicles because certain Fords, certain domestic cars are made in Mexico, Canada as well.
It depends on how much of it's made. I imagine there's a lot of devil in the details, but basically the high level is he's stiff-arming the international competition and he's incentivizing people to buy American. Now, this is, I think, something that's really smart. If you want to smash it at the midterms, you've got to find 1,000 ways to make things cheaper for the average American. And if you are able to do it through tax breaks without having to print, which is then just the illusion of a tax break, amazing. I just don't know if he's going to be able to. So this is going to be the eternal game of chicken where Lutnick is going to be out there trying to get people to buy the Trump gold card to make up some of the deficit. Elon and Doge are going to be trying to drive the cost of things down, drive the budget back in line because of all the fraud, waste, and abuse, blah, 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 the catchphrase. But we'll see. We will see if it actually plays out in real life. All right. Before we move on, how's chat doing? You nice?
Chat is doing great. There's a couple questions on this subject, actually. We've got Yeti Bandit saying, can the interest benefit overcome the reputation of U.S. cars? And then a few other people.
Wait. Can the interest deduction overcome? Go back. Let me see it. Where are we at here?
I know you're finding it. It's all
here. It is.
Can the interest benefit overcome the reputation of U.S. cars? So I assume Yeti Bandit is saying U.S. cars are lame.
Correct. That's what a few people are saying.
Is it enough? Yeah, I mean that's exactly what I'm talking about. Like this will stifle innovation because you have the government coming in and saying not forcing you to buy American, but they're certainly giving a lot of financial incentives. They're making other cars more expensive, ours cheaper. And so a lot of people are going to say, well, I would rather have a Toyota or whatever, but instead I'm going to buy this lame American car. And from an innovation standpoint, I hate it, but understanding the position that we're in, where my operating assumption is even more important than we have to drive innovation forward, we have got to control enough of our manufacturing that if we find ourselves in a kinetic war with China, that we can deal with it. Like, that's just like, that's national sovereignty. Can't fuck around. Must, top. But it will stifle innovation. So that becomes problematic.
I wanted to throw up this graph really quick because we've been hearing about Chinese cars, BYD, a lot. And this is the graph that kind of keeps getting thrown to in passing, how China went from literally under us in 2020 as a car exporter to the number 1 car exporter in the world.
That was in 2020?
In 4 years, yeah.
Damn.
In 4 years, they became 0 to 100. So This is definitely, and this is, Joe Biden did a 100% tariff on BYD cars to keep them from our U.S. market when he was in office. So we're actively trying to keep them away, but Europe and other countries have let them take over. And as you can see, China is on a straight line up.
That is crazy. I'm very curious to know what exactly happened in 2020 that made that happen. Is this...
all the supply chains were shut down, and the people who can actually make stuff are like, oh, our factories are still working.
Yeah,
let's get them out of
it
there.
Might be that simple. But the fact that it's carried on tells me that there's something more than that going on. And there was, I think it was the All In podcast, where they were talking to a very wealthy person out of Abu Dhabi or something. And they were like, I have, one of the world's biggest supercar collections, and I only fuck with Chinese. Wow. And it's like, yo, when you can afford anything, and you're like, yeah, give me that BYD. That says something. Red, sort of light. Why is it not red anymore?
It's white.
We just, oh,
be pure and holy.
Oh God.
Whoa.
Jesus.
Whoa. Wait a second.
I would like to point out that she is Mexican. Let the record reflect.
I am. Viva Mexico. All right. Adaroth with a $20 super chat. Adaroth, thank you for your $20 super chat. Adaroth says, my question is in reference to yesterday's stream where you talked about the concept of free won't.
Yum.
Isn't that effectively the same thing as free will?
Nope.
If you can say no, then you're still responsible for your actions. No?
Well, okay. Speed run. Remember, even though free will is an illusion, you should not act as if you have no free will. You should act as if you do have free will. If you have free won't, that to me is a pale comparison to free yes. And to be honest, I only give people free won't as an olive branch. I don't think we have free won't either. I think that the reality is that you are downstream of the mechanisms that are happening in your biology, and it's that simple. So yeah, I think the only refuge for people who believe in free will is that there is such a thing as a soul, and it exists beyond your body. And so while it's in your body, it's trapped, but eventually you can get outside of it. If consciousness is pushed all the way down, maybe there's something like that. God, I can really fractal on this. Here is the reality. If I alter your biology, I alter everything about you that you consider you. Your personality, the way that you interpret the world, and so you becomes meaningless if you just let me alter your biology. So I don't see why people get hung up on this. You don't have free will. Period. End of story.
So if I went into your mind and like tinkered around, I could make you fall out of love with Lisa.
Of course.
Okay, and I can make you fall in love with like a computer.
Yes, sure.
Okay.
Dude, we are machines.
You just started my mad scientist arc. I got a couple of...
Let's go!
So I need to get
I've always wanted this arc through. I'm very excited for this. Speaking of mad scientist arc, who watched the Joe Rogan Experience with the backslid?
Look at you with the transition. Hey!
Drew didn't want to talk about this because it's controversial, which my problem with authority is the second somebody tells me they don't want to do something, I'm like, this is what we're doing.
Oh, he's rebellious.
It is. I have always had a problem with authority. Well, did you know, Eunice? Did you know? This is a true story. I once had a teacher in high school accuse me of trying to kill her.
Hold on.
That is a true story.
That's kill?
Yeah. Oh, kill.
Yeah, you're saying that too smugly.
Yeah,
like
like
it's not like
smugly.
you don't bump into somebody and accuse try to kill them. Like, did you have a knife?
No.
Did you bring a gun to school?
With a pencil.
With a pet.
Yeah.
That's
so you're John Wick now.
You sound like that guy from Ratatouille where he's like, I once killed a man with this thumb.
No, I have not killed anybody. I'm very happy to report. And I did not try to kill her. What she assumed.
Setting the record straight.
What she assumed.
What's the statute of limitations on murder?
Oh, no. People, hey, come at me. My pencil fell behind her.
Okay.
And she said that I did it on purpose so that she would trip and fall and die. Oh. And I won't take our time telling the whole story, but once she said that, it was like mask off and they fired her. But we had like this whole thing because she had been such a disruptive force because she was brand new.
Yeah.
Comes in and like, I don't know, maybe 2 months into the school year, she's already suspended. I don't remember if he was our valedictorian, but he was like really close. Ooh. And she had gotten him suspended. He'd never had disciplinary trouble ever. It ended up keeping him out of the Ivy League. It ends up being this whole fucking thing. Crazy. And we all tell our parents, like, this woman is unhinged. And they're like, okay, well, let's bring everybody together. So we've got the principal, the vice principal, a bunch of the parents of like basically the top 10 graduating kids in our class are all with this woman. And she presents herself perfectly. And we're all like, this isn't happening.
Yeah.
Like, no, she's a raging lunatic. She sounds normal right now, but she is crazy. And I'm not kidding. Everyone starts folding their stuff up after like an hour, 90 minutes, maybe folding everything up. We're getting ready to go. And I'm like, hey, really fast before we go, I'm like, why did you break my pencil that day? Because my pencil falls behind her. Yeah. She turns around, picks it up, snaps it in half and puts it back on my desk. Ooh. And I was like, what the fuck? But by then we're all like, she's so unhinged. Yeah. Like, I'm just laughing. I'm like, how do you make that make sense?
Yeah.
And literally like a Scooby-Doo episode, her mask comes off and in front of everybody, she goes, don't think I didn't know you were trying to kill me. And everyone's like, okay, thank you, everybody. That's a wrap. And we never saw her again.
Sheesh.
They just let her go.
Oh,
it was insane. But the fact that she almost got away with it, if it wasn't for those pesky kids, it was nuts. It's one of my favorite childhood stories.
And ever since then, Tom has had an issue with authority.
No, I've had an issue with authority by default because I am an automaton. I don't have free will. And for whatever reason, nature saw it fit to give me a real problem with authority. So there it is. There it is.
All right. The Vigilant Fox.
I like that story. That's a good story.
That was a good story.
The longer version is even more bizarre.
You'll need to just tell it one day. Just record it while you're at home.
One day.
You know.
The short version will do for now.
When we make the Tom AI bot, we'll just download it.
There it is. It's good. I like it.
All right. Vigilant Fox tweeted out a thread about how Dr. Suzanne Humphries went on Joe Rogan and chatted a bunch of vaccine narratives.
I want to know, chat, have you guys seen this? If we can pull up chat, I want to know what people's vibe is on this. Jessica Vina loved that story. I assume that's the teacher story. Mm-hmm. We need chat to animate that. Tom is a legend. Rebel in his own head. Yes, so true. People haven't. Ryan watched it. Watchalada has not. If you don't have free will, we'll come back to that.
Yes.
Loved it. Please watch. Yeah, so this is interesting to me. I would check it out. I'm not all the way through the episode, which is why we're going to be looking at the Vigilant Fox here, distilling the episode. But Ribsy, she was acting perfectly rational in response to the stimuli of her surroundings. Her biology could not do anything different under the circumstances. Ribsy, it's too true. It's too true. I'm very sad for her that she got dealt that deal. Okay, I'm not cheating on impact theory. Ricky, that's very kind. Very kind. Love it. The Mercury topic was interesting. Yeah, no doubt. Okay, so the reason that I want to talk about this is a lot less about vaccines and a lot more about the moment that we're living through, where all of our cultural scaffolding is beginning to fall apart. And that is the thing that I find most compelling. My hope is that as people are finally able to break through using social media to break the narratives that have for so long just defined the modern era. And now people can challenge ideas and say what they believe to be true, and things can really be debated in a far broader public square than has ever been possible. My hope is that we actually get closer and closer to the truth. Now, in the middle of the debate, it just looks like things are becoming more chaotic. But I believe that the right analogy for this is there is an eternal jellyfish. Literally, they don't die except by trauma. But what they have to do to stay alive forever is they return to like a jelly state, and they lose their whole form. And then from that, they reconstitute themselves with healthy, unaged tissue. That's what I feel like is finally happening to a lot of the narratives that have kept people from getting closer and closer to the truth. And if you, like I, look out at the certainly American landscape and you see health moving in the wrong direction, hopefully that says, we are not accurately mapping what is going on. And to accurately map what is going on, we're going to have to dissolve a lot of the things that we believe and reconstitute them. So anyway, in that spirit, I bring you the Vigilant Fox's breakdown of what happened.
And do you think it's the immunity to any legal consequences that has allowed them to sort of operate like this?
Well, we certainly saw an explosion of their creativity since 1986. So in 1986, you're referring to the National Child Vaccine Injury Act that was passed in 1986. But before 1986, we had 1976, which was the swine flu vaccine fiasco. And that was a situation where there was so much injury that the vaccine producing companies were no longer able to get insurance. And so they went to the government and they said, we need you to indemnify us. And they did. And so the government absorbed all the lawsuit cases that happened as a result of the Guillain-Barré that happened from then. And so that kind of set a precedent for 1986. So back then, vaccines were just kind of, pieces of microbe or maybe a live attenuated virus. And then they would put a background of all kinds of horrid things inside of it and tell you it was just a clear, beautiful, pure solution. But that's beside the point.
Pause it for a second. So I am a lot less traumatized by the government coming in and saying, hey, listen, we believe that this is really a public good. And so we're going to make sure that these companies are not put in a position where they can't keep making the vaccines than I am bothered by the fact that it became absolutely impossible to talk about. And they talk about this later in the episode that basically, if you are a doctor and you step outside of the orthodoxy, and if people did not see this happening during COVID, they were not paying attention. If you step outside of the orthodoxy, that you are threatened, you're isolated professionally. Yeah. And it just becomes an absolute nightmare. I want the government to do what they think is best. Seem to be having some sort of drama here off camera. Do I need to pause, gentlemen? Okay. So we want the government to do what the government thinks is best, but we want the government to hold itself accountable to metrics. Mm-hmm. And so if the metrics are the health of our population and we realize, oh, wait a second, there might be something going on here that we didn't anticipate. Rise of autism. Again, I don't know that autism is related to vaccines, maybe a totally different phenomenon, but you're going to slow down the discovery of what's going on if you're not allowing people to debate this. And so my beef is with whatever is inside of the human psyche that wants to control the narrative instead of saying, I actually want to know if I'm wrong. And man, most people do not want to know if they're wrong. And as somebody who puts his opinions out like nonstop violence, I think a lot about I will be sad if people can't go back in time and go, Tom isn't thinking the same way that he used to. Yeah. Because that means I'm not updating my thinking. And the odds that I'm already right about everything are not close to zero. They are zero. Mm-hmm. And so if I'm not changing my thinking over time, it means that I'm doubling down, I'm calcifying over the things that I believe that are incorrect. So I just don't understand. I can articulate the impulse, but it feels devoid of reality to me. And it's one of the reasons that I'm so obsessed with this idea that skills have utility, getting people to understand that you can get so good at something that you can do things in the real world that other people can't do. That is like the great intoxication of my life. And when I see people respond the other way, which is that you can campaign and you can convince people and you can control the way people think about a subject and you can insulate yourself from reality. That impulse is so weird. And so because it isn't effective in terms of it does not move you closer to truth, it does not give you a better ability to map the real world, and therefore does not give you the ability to do things in the real world that other people can't do. So my hope is that this age of velocity and volume of information puts us in a situation where now people are, it is so hard, or dare I say impossible, to trap somebody inside of a narrative because there's just so much information that those that are interested can begin to find the truth. But when, like during COVID, when it felt like illicit to be listening to Brett Weinstein, you're never going to be able to find the truth. And that worries me. All right.
It seems like a case for like self-preservation almost. Like they want to be the gatekeepers. They want to, we know things, you don't know things, where fundamentally science is based on the scientific method. We have centuries of data of this is how it is. Oh, we just found out we were wrong. Okay, now this is how it is. Oh, we just found out we were wrong. And that's whether it's the earth is flat, the universe revolves about us versus us around the universe. Like there's so many claims that we all fundamentally knew. Society thought one thing, this person went against the grain and proved society completely wrong. But for some reason we feel like, we got all this, like 2020 is when we figured it all out. We can now put that to bed. It just seems
I have a feeling it goes something like this. Yeah. You need people to look at you as the purveyor of truth because there's so much power in being the one that people listen to. Like if you're the one where it's like, bro, I just go to fill in the blank. I go to Fauci, just to keep it on vaccines for a second. I go to Fauci and he gives me the clarity that I need. Now, when people are following you, you've got power as a leader, and that really is tremendously powerful. And the leader knows there's a fragility here because if people realize that I can intoxicate you with certainty, but I'm not intoxicating you with truth. And therefore, when you follow me, I'm leading you astray. They're at risk of losing their power. And because it works to manipulate people, to control the narrative, to ice people out, not let them talk, oftentimes these guys can corner the quote unquote truth until long after they're dead. And so now it's like, well, during your life, that behavior had high utility. And so I get why as a species we do it, but it's just so much lower utility compared to, it's actually not quite true. It's high utility when your actual goal is power. It's low utility when your actual goal is efficacy. And the problem is, I think that humans may have a default towards power and not efficacy. There's a minimum amount of like, we have to be able to stay alive. And that's why I say some people need to be chased by a lion, because that's when it's like, oh, you're getting smacked in the face with what actually works and doesn't. But once those like bare minimum things are met, then it becomes really about maintaining power. I'll stop there.
Full stop.
We have
Thaw likes power.
A superior light.
Super chat.
Let's
Sequoia
go.
Hall, thank you for your $20.
Sequoia.
Thank you, Sequoia Hall.
Welcome back.
Sequoia Hall says, it is my hypothesis that current world environmental exposure has a much, much greater impact than any action we take. Not my wife's opinion. Air, water, etc., full of lead and PCBs. Very expensive to avoid with air/water filters.
Yeah, I have a very bad feeling that we are going to find that environmental exposure is exceedingly devastating. It's one of the things that she talks about in this episode, that polio. I'm going to do a bad job of summarizing this, so don't worry, we're going to go through it. But my read of her take on what polio is actually exposure to DDT that happens to, which was, I think it's used in farming. I don't know if it's a pesticide or what, but at the same time that she said you can map the tonnage use of DDT and things diagnosed as polio, like they move in lockstep. And so as they come down, then polio seems to disappear. In countries that still use DDT, polio still exists. She's basically saying it's not actually polio. It's a response to DDT that has the same exact symptoms as what we call polio. So anyway, it's pretty interesting. as we go through this, please know, I'm not saying she's right. I'm just saying I'm very glad that this stuff is now at least a little easier to debate. And we're starting to thaw off this idea of, if you say anything bad about vaccines, you're a bad person. I want the debate.
To Sequoia Hall's point, I think there is a level of responsibility we have to take with the environment in which we raise our kids and feed and things like that. An example for us, when Lynn was first born, her mom had trouble breastfeeding after like month 3 or something like that. So we supplemented it with formula. We did a bunch of research on formula. We were like, okay, this formula has dairy. Her mom has a dairy, is lactose intolerant. Apparently everybody is, but that's another story. So we're like, okay, we're going to do soy-like formula. It's going to be better for Lynn. It'll be like a healthier alternative. We did that. Lynn started growing like, I could call them titties now because she's grown and it's funny, but she had like breast at like 6 months.
Whoa!
So I'm just like, but they weren't like, but you could tell like her chest was getting bigger, and it was just like, wait, this is like, she got like pecs. Like it looked like she was like doing push-ups a lot. So we like took her to the doctor, did a whole thing, and like the amount of estrogen that was in the soy formula was kind of like exploding. So then so we stopped doing that and had to pivot, but it's something as simple as, we went to the store. There was 5 options. This was the healthy option out of the 5. It's like, we're not going to do that one because that's bad, but this one is the better one. But there was a second order consequence that we didn't see. She's fine now. We ended up catching in the time. Like the hormones ended up fixing itself, whatever like that. But just the simple fact that like, don't ask questions. Everything on the shelf is good for you. Just listen to the doctor and your life will be okay. It's like, there's the products already out there now that are causing these negative externalities that we're not even talking about. So to the pesticide spray that's causing polio, to the formula that can do these things to people, it's like, it's just the arrogance of like, stop asking questions and listen to me, that I think really bothers me about this whole thing.
Yeah. And just to be clear, she is not saying that DDT causes polio. It's that it has the same symptoms.
Oh, okay.
Just for the maximum clarity.
And Jordan was like, polio is a virus. Okay, yes. Same symptoms, not the thing, but.
Indeed.
Yeah.
All right.
Then 1986 comes along, and because there's so many lawsuits happening because of the diphtheria, pertussis, tetanus vaccine, that again, the vaccine companies couldn't continue to go on the way they were because they were being sued so much. So then this horrible act was passed, which to some people seemed like a good idea. And this is always how it goes: is we're going to make you this promise. Yes, we're gonna cover all the lawsuits now out of taxes, but it's going to be okay because we're going to pay out these lawsuits, and you're going to be fine. If your kid takes one for the team, you're going to be okay. And what happens is, after they get their foot in the door, they narrow down the they basically have a kangaroo court that decides if you're eligible. And so the qualification tables got narrowed down because in the beginning they were paying out so much of this. So not only did it make the vaccine companies very, very wealthy and indemnified, but as you alluded to just a minute ago, the creativity of the vaccine companies expanded. So after that, they could add different, what we call adjuvants, things that stimulate the immune system so the vaccine works better. Then that's why we're able to be in a messenger RNA vaccine situation today.
Ooh, okay. Let's keep chugging here. Which part is this? That freedom also meant cutting corners and safety testing. Okay, go to the next one. There's some where she starts really getting into the details, which Polio is still here. Play this one. This is interesting.
When you look at the historical timeline of polio, what do you think caused it to go to essentially not be a problem anymore?
Okay.
You don't think vaccinations had anything to do with that?
Well, it's not what I think, because that's the thing. Like, look, when I got into this, I didn't say, I want to argue that vaccines are great. I said, look, I don't care. I didn't have skin in the game. I didn't have vaccine-injured kids. I couldn't have cared less about it, essentially, except that it was something in front of me and it didn't make sense. So I thought, wherever the truth falls, that's what I'm going to talk about. So what I say is that I
pause it for a second. I love the idea of an inconvenient truth. And people just really, really have to let go of this idea of, I hate the truth. It's like, what does it say? That is the world that you live in. Now, the truth may be complex. Like I consider innovation to be one of my highest value sets when I look at the world, like in terms of what do I want to see happen politically. But at the same time, understanding that a war with China would be very problematic right now, that it's like, okay, there's going to be a balance here. But hungering for the truth, I think, is the right play. And speaking of hungering for the truth, somebody said, Tom, will you please speak to the fact that we want you for president? I would make a terrible president. So I will just say that right now. You think you want that, but oh boy, you do not.
You're going to have some inconvenient truths for your constituents if you were to run for president?
Here's an inconvenient truth. My memory is such that I'd be like, hi, it's nice to meet you. What's your name again? I'm Putin, the president of Russia. Like, fuck, that's right. God. And that is not the person that you want running for president. So if I can upgrade my brain, then maybe. But for now, hard pass. For your sake. For your sake. And I just would not enjoy that at all. All right.
Line up to show you is that polio is still here. Polio is still alive and well. Polio is called different things today, whereas back in the 1940s, 1950s, the criteria for diagnosing polio were completely different to the year that the vaccine was introduced. The playing field, the goalposts, everything was changed.
Lisa,
so that despite the fact that there was more paralytic polio in the years after that vaccine was introduced, they were able to show a complete cascading drop of paralytic polio simply because of the way they changed the definitions of what polio is and what could cause it. And they started testing for the virus, where before they would never test for the virus. And when they started testing for the virus later, what they would find that people had Guillain-Barré syndrome, they didn't have virus, or they had Coxsackie virus or echovirus, or they were lead poisoned or mercury poisoned, which was the mercury and lead were the leading treatments of the day, including bloodletting.
Dude,
they were
that's so
telling
crazy.
people to take your cigarette and put a...
So, man, if I could get people to recognize that we're still in the bloodletting phase. I don't know what the bloodletting is that we're doing now, but I assure you that we remain ignorant to human biology for sure. Now, AI is going to help tremendously, but we should just assume that we are doing things very wrong and that we want to get to the point where we're all just obsessed with physics of progress, learning, how do we get better? What new information do we have that would force us to update our thinking? But everybody thinks that we're at the end of history and that we've got it all figured out and this is all done and yay, when sadly, we're not there yet. We are not there yet. Jordash, she's ignoring the phenomenon of improvements in laboratory analytical during this time, which allows for improved and differentiating diagnostics. Cool. I'm perfectly willing to accept that that is true, but don't we want her to be able to say what she thinks is true? Because right now, at least from where I'm sitting, it very much feels like we are trapped inside of narratives and people get real weird when you start talking about that. And I would like to see some cultural energy around let people say what they think is true. If somebody is a moron, then just ignore them. But when we spend all of our time discrediting people instead of trying to get people to focus on the thing that has the highest predictive validity, then I'm just like, yeah, we're all, wait. He's pushing back. No, not really. It's like running on DOS when you have Windows 11. I don't know what you mean by that. If you're saying that, what's that?
Like DOS, the DOS operating.
Yeah. I mean, I know literally what he's saying, but what I'm taking away from your comments is that her mode of thinking is so outdated, we should not listen to her. And that feels like same as it ever was. So if you're looking at the same thing I'm looking at, which is from a health perspective, we are moving in the wrong direction. And if we are moving in the wrong direction from a health perspective, I want people to argue. Now, I love people arguing with her. Like, let's talk about the merits and all of that. But if we're like, no, we shouldn't even listen to her, that's when I'm like, that doesn't feel right to me. All right. White light.
Yes, we have a super chat from Brutus.
Let's go, Brutus.
Brutus Lugo. Thank you for your $20 super chat. Brutus says, I think this lady is just muddying the waters on a topic that is extremely serious like polio. You should see what the leading scientists and the best studies say on the topic. Showing her opinion without refutation is danger. Maybe dangerous, and it got cut off, but danger.
I don't understand that response. I probably need a better phrase than that. I understand the response. I vehemently disagree. I think the wisest way to approach the world, if your value is an accurate mapping of what is true, I think people should seek disconfirming evidence. So who is the person? This is why when I see something go by where it's negative against me, I'm always like, ooh, stop on that one. I want to hear what they have to say, because I am trying to have an accurate map of the landscape. And so I don't know if people don't trust themselves to be able to think through the problem well, or if people's base assumption is it's dangerous because most people are too dumb to think through it, and therefore I've got to protect them from bad ideas. That to me is, I am violently opposed to. I don't think people can think through this idea, therefore this idea should be shut down. That's crazy to me.
I just ask if everybody can just steel man the other argument and just think. Let's just suspend belief for 2 seconds. What if this lady is credible, and what if something she's saying has some predictive validity? I'm still Tom's words for that.
It's good word.
Because it's very easy for us to be the people that back in the day would have thought the Earth was flat and would have been mad at who's the Apple dude?
Well, the Apple dude was not the guy you're thinking of. That was Newton.
Yeah, we would have been mad at.
Was it Copernicus or Galileo that got imprisoned?
We would have thought gravity was stupid and Newton was an idiot. Like, it's very easy to be the idiot mob than it is to be the person that says, okay, wait, let me think critically through this. So yes, you guys might be medical doctors in the chat. You might have had 3 degrees that give you the most credibility in the world. Let's just play a thought experiment and let's just try to think that maybe there's something here. Just think about it. If you can say, okay, she's probably thinking this, this, and this, but this is why it doesn't make sense, then by all means, let's have that conversation.
This is how I feel. This is triggering the same feelings I had when Howard, what's his name? Terrence Howard. When Terrence Howard was popping off, and privately I was talking to people that I felt could refute those things, and I'm very glad that ultimately Eric Weinstein did. And my message was very simple. Listen, you've got a big brain, and I get that you don't want to engage with this thing, but I would suggest that you have a barometer for something has gained enough cultural awareness that it's now worth refuting, even if it's just refuting. Even if you're like, there's nothing here, and let me walk you point by point through that. That's somebody who's like, I'm confident enough in my ability to track cause and effect that I'll be able to tell you, here's why the things that they're saying don't lead to the effect that you want. Cool. I love that. Somebody who is insecure in their sense of cause and effect, they are going to want people to just be quiet.
And on that note,
I do get another one.
We have another super chat.
Let's go.
And it is their first super chat on live stream ever.
Hey, thank you for the super chat.
Thank you, Timmy.
Let's go, Timmy.
Timmy says, the influential figures like Schwab, Fink, Musk, Thiel, and Prince wield power through finance, tech, intelligence, and covert diplomacy, revealing hidden networks influencing policy. A practical definition of a deep state.
Yeah, that to me feels different than the deep state, but it certainly is the people that are pushing the narratives and having a bigger influence than people think. Thiel is probably the most interesting of those guys. Like, I don't know how much his direct influence is, but man, if everywhere you turn, one name keeps popping up, odds are that they do have a lot of influence. He's somebody I'd love to sit down with. The way his mind works is very fascinating. But given what he did with the Gawker lawsuit, he is somebody who is very prepared to work quietly in the shadows, very diligently to get an outcome that he wants over years. So yeah, anybody that has some suspicion in that direction, I get it. There's no doubt. He is a very strategic human being. If you guys haven't read, I forget the name of the book that Ryan Holiday wrote about the whole thing, the Gawker lawsuit. It's fascinating. All right.
You're not seeing it pop up? I sent another request. I got kicked out.
Boothead.
Do you mind driving, Eunice?
They own the science. That should be a flag.
Oh, there it is.
Why
it popped up.
Freaking out. What's happening? It says what the?
Tom, there's a couple people asking if you've done your research on this nice lady.
No. Okay. No, she could be a raging lunatic. But I this is all now going to trigger all of my problems with authority. If people are going to say that I should not have people on because it's dangerous to platform somebody that's wrong, I'll just stop you there. You can hate impact theory, you can hate me, you can go somewhere else. I totally get it. You should absolutely vote with your feet, and your time and your attention is the greatest thing that you can offer somebody. And so if you feel like because of that belief that I am not worth your attention, that is very fair. I don't begrudge anybody that whatsoever. But I take a very different worldview. So yeah, I've listened to Andrew Tate, who, by the way, was recently accused of assault again. But nonetheless, I'm going to listen and see what he has to say. When things reach a certain level of cultural awareness, then I'm going to dip in and figure out what's going on. And so if you guys are saying, listen, don't share anything with me until you have like a full take on it, you're just going to hate the show, because that is not the plan. I'll tell you when I don't know. But I feel very confident in my framework of how to approach the world, which is exactly how I'm approaching this. I am not making any statements about the efficacy of vaccines. That I don't know about. All right.
Can you play the video? I'm still not logged in. I got kicked from screen share.
A little bit of arsenic in there. It's good for your lungs. Yeah, they were literally blowing smoke up people's butts. Like that's where the term comes from. Because if you want to Google that now, you'll see that there's an instrument that does it.
Yeah.
So, the polio story, where to even begin? And so there's about 70 pages. And so that became my obsession. So when people said, what about polio? And I started digging this up, I went deep into it.
Did you dive into pesticides?
Yes, you have to dive into pesticides. Yeah. Because the tonnage of production of DDT absolutely mirrored the diagnosis for polio in the days. And the countries that still make DDT today is where we're still seeing this paralytic polio situation happen.
And also, weren't the first cases, did they break out in a rural community?
The first cases of polio, yes.
In the United States, paralytic polio.
Yes, it was out in the countryside. Well, and that was probably more.
All right, pause it for a sec, just because I see what's going on in chat. Okay, so here would be how I would navigate the world. I would worry a lot less about whether a person is credible, and I would start looking at whether the information that they're putting into the world actually has a chain of cause and effect that you can follow. I find that because the world is so complicated, people are looking for a reason to ignore people. They're looking for a reason not to pay attention to them, instead of the not exact opposite, because the world has a lot of information. And so you want to have some mechanism by which you decide who to look at and who not to. My advice is, rather than somebody's credentials, I would look at whether they've reached a certain level of cultural awareness. So in a world with high velocity of information and just an absolute mountain of it, what people are paying attention to probably is a better signal than just who you think is right. Now, when you think somebody is right and you can follow the cause and effect and you want to be a champion for their voice, by all means, that's an amazing use of somebody's time and energy to try to get people to pay attention to the thing that you think is right. I love that. But I think the right, remember, when I say right, I'm talking about something that has utility. It has utility because it's a better approximation of the truth. That if you're seeking high utility, you want to be mapping things from different angles. And I would advise that you seek out people that say the exact opposite of the thing that you believe. Not because you think they're right, but because you're afraid you're wrong. Okay? If you can make those adjustments so that your worldview gets more and more predictive, great. And if the person that is saying the exact opposite of what you believe is gaining a lot of attention, then from a wisdom of the crowd perspective, there's something about their argument that is really catching people. And if you can identify what that is and go, okay, I get why this is really popular, but I'm going to discard that, it may at least help you shape a better vision of what's going on in the world. Tate being a great example. So I watch Andrew Tate and I think, maybe 10% of what he says is useful and the rest is not. And so then my next question becomes, why is this guy so fucking popular? Then you get on to what he's doing from a marketing perspective. It's like, oh, that's actually pretty brilliant. The way that he was incentivizing other people to post his content. Okay, something to learn there. Very interesting. Then you also get into, there's something going on in culture right now where the aggressive male impulse has been so stymied that they're just looking for anybody that's moving the Overton window. Okay, again, equally interesting. But getting to that, not because I thought Tate was right, getting to that because I thought that Tate had so much cultural energy behind him, it did not make sense to ignore. And so at that point, I want to understand what's going on here. So again, same thing happening here. All right.
We have 2 super chats.
Let's go.
Yeah.
That
Super chat.
Indeed.
Super chat. Patrick writes in, thank you for the 1999. Patrick says, may or may not be popping off the gold reevaluation. Yes, the gold reevaluation proposal. In parentheses, Clear Value Tax YouTube channel, most recent video.
Clear Value Tax YouTube channel. Got it. So the YouTube channel is called Clear Value Tax. Don't know about them. I'll have to take a look. I haven't heard about the gold revaluation proposal, but certainly is right in our wheelhouse. So we will add that to the list of things to take a peek-see, and we'll take a look.
And we have another super chat from Not a Theory. Not a Theory, thank you for the 20.
Welcome back. Good to see you again.
Not a Theory says, when she talked about the horrid conditions of life at one time and how diseases spread, grateful to be here now where I can wash my hands.
No joke.
Feeling spoiled, comparatively speaking.
No joke, man.
That's such a great example because I remember the mortality rate of pregnancy was like super high back then. And doctors would be like, yeah, it's because it's a bad baby. Yeah, it's because of the weather conditions. Yeah, it's because of what you ate. Meanwhile, it's just because their hands was dirty.
Yeah. They were literally doing autopsies and then going up and delivering babies without washing their hands. Yikes. And dude, okay, so speaking of why we're doing the episode today that we're doing, the doctor who said basically germ theory, I think he actually died in an insane asylum because people broke him so viciously. Like, this guy's an idiot, doesn't know what he's doing, isolating him, yada, yada, yada. And I'm sure it's cold comfort to homeboy that people finally were like, oh yeah, he was right. Psych, just kidding. He was right the whole time. Yeah.
And
that's
what like is like killing me right now. It's like we have like decades of evidence, not even just an America thing, like different countries that there's so many instances of how science was later disproven. The entire basis of science is the scientific method. You test, hypothesis, repeat.
Yeah,
like,
you're literally trying to disprove yourself. That is science, to disprove thyself.
But somehow nowadays, but once 2020 came around, science is done. We got it. We figured it out. The end.
Yeah.
Like, come on, guys.
9. No bueno. Connor, thank you. TSMC. I've got to really bake that into my brain. Well, we know where Connor is in the live there. You need a deep dive on how I use AI daily. We've talked about that a lot. I don't know if people are going to get a lot out of that. Mine is a pure,
I feel
I
like
use it for interviews and creative
I
stuff.
see that comment a lot as well. I don't think people are actually utilizing it. I think people are like, oh, okay, it's like Google, but they're not actually using it to build like mechanisms, using other AIs like in tandem together. Like we should probably do a deep dive on one of those days. Like,
okay.
maybe we just
I'm super open. Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Evil Fandango says establishment science rejects it, doesn't attempt to disprove. Yeah. So going back to what's happening in the moment where germ theory is first being proposed and everybody's telling him he's insane, my pushback would be, okay, but you see that people are dying. So what is your explanation? And then is there a way for us to look backwards in time to answer whether that thing is true? This is something that people do in the stock market all the time. Had I invested according to this procedure, would I have made or lost money over the last 120 years? And if I would have made money, say 85% of the time, it's like, cool, I'm going to try this moving forward. Now, there's no guarantee that it will work moving forward because it's a different time. But the fact that it would have worked historically is a pretty good indicator that it's at least worth trying. And if you ask the simple question, great example. So I'm running an experiment right now where I am trying to figure out why my right hand hurts some mornings and not others. And I'm pretty sure I have it narrowed down to my default assumption is it's something that I'm eating. It's certainly exacerbated when I use it a lot. So if I play video games, it will hurt more. But that doesn't seem to be the sole thing. It seems to be tied to something that I'm eating. Tuesday, my hand felt perfect. Literally no pain, none whatsoever. Woke up, felt perfect. And I was like, why? Because normally I think I play video games on the weekend, therefore my hand is going to hurt, let's say until Wednesday, maybe Thursday, when it finally starts to feel better. And then I was like, what did I do a lot of yesterday? And the answer was I chewed more nicotine gum than normal. Now, it's possible there's just a bunch of sugar because I haven't checked to see. So it's possible I'm just gobbling a bunch of sugar. So I was like, okay, this may be the same thing, but that's why I'm not chewing nicotine gum today. Now, there are no life and death consequences. And yet I'm still running the scientific method, trying to figure out what the hell is going on. If you've got people dropping like fucking flies and you've got somebody going, hey, this is because you're not washing your hands after dealing with a fucking corpse, and then you're coming and delivering a baby. Hey, how about we run an experiment? If I wash my hands before, does she live or die at a higher rate? Like, it's so fucking simple, but instead people want to argue and they want to yell and they want to scream because the earlier thing I was saying about people want to be right. They want to intoxicate people with certainty. They say a thing and they don't want to backtrack. And that becomes a problem. The light is on.
The light is on. Lyrith, thank you for your $20 super chat. Lyrith says.
Lyrith, we were talking about you yesterday, man. Thank you, brother. You are very active, very generous.
Oh, yeah.
All the claps, all the claps.
Lyrith says, ultimate absolute nothingness could never have possibly been, nor can it ever be. Such a state lacks causality or entropy to spark something. Therefore, existence can only be infinite and eternal. Thoughts?
Here's where I settle on this. There is obviously something that we don't understand for the exact reason that you're talking about. There is something instead of nothing. So no matter how far you push back the miracle, at some point you come to a miracle. And given that, I don't know what to do with that. So I don't know what that is. I don't know. You can call it God. You can call it the universe, whatever. But even if you're like, this is a multiverse, you're still going to get to the point where there's something instead of nothing. So yeah, I don't know what to do with that. I just stand in awe of it. But what I don't do, and I think this bothers some people, but what I don't do is say that, oh, somebody wrote this down in a book 2,000 years ago and they got it figured out. That's what I don't do. So, but anyway, it is awe-inspiring. There's no doubt about that.
We have another super chat from Sequoia Hall.
That's what I like to hear.
Sequoia Hall, thank you for your $20 super chat. Sequoia Hall says, showing folks more on harnessing AI tools per what Drew just pointed out. I'm here for seeing where my blind spots are as I set up our data sets and integration. I think it would rate well and have replays over time.
Well, let's do it. Let's do it.
I appreciate it.
Anything that you guys think is valuable, I am here to do. So we are well aware that we serve at the pleasure of the community. And if there are nobody watching these things, then there would be no point in doing them. So there you have it. To the person that said that it might have to do with my fat intake, yep, that is certainly possible. Lisa and I were talking about that. Yes. I have a feeling that W Finance and stocks has been
wrist?
around for a minute because I used to ice my wrists every night, and then I went through a whole keto thing and it fixed that, and I haven't had to ice my wrists in a very long time. So it is possible that going full keto will address it, but my diet is very clean, and my diet has a lot of high quality fat in it already. But I have not tried stripping out protein, or at least reducing it very dramatically. You are correct, and that is an experiment on the table. Smoke some herb, Tom. Every now and then, for sex purposes, yes, Meta.
Please don't get started again.
There it is. That's it.
Oh, but yeah, let's not go back to that one.
No?
We don't need
We've already listened to that one.
Yeah, you heard that. You heard that, Fractal.
Fractal. That's a good one, though. I don't think that one belongs in the fractal bucket. That might just be penis shaped like a shovel bucket. That's where. Yep. We went there, everybody. That's what it is.
Oh no, you don't like it? I thought it was cute. I did the Studio Ghibli. It finally loaded out.
I saw it. Yeah.
Yeah. It was stalling out for me. It was cute. A clitoral fractal again? Hopefully not.
We're here for whatever you guys.
Yeah, if you guys like talking sex, let us know in the chat so we can add more things, because I didn't know the clitoris was so popular.
Let's talk about.
Is it, or is it like train wrecky popular, where it's like, oh, good Lord?
there was a lot of like red blush faces and LOLs and ha ha ha's. But
we got some good comments.
Yeah, you guys are into it.
Are you guys not? Like, the evolution of sex is fascinating to me. Fascinating.
I could tell.
But not you? Like, you don't find it interesting?
Yeah, but
when you say evolution of sex,
but don't talk about it? I don't.
No, we can talk about it. We can talk about it, but it definitely is
yeah, I guess.
Bashful, that's the word.
Yeah.
It makes you bashful.
Yeah.
Scurbadurba says it's fascinating. Lisa says, welcome to my world. Yes, indeed. My poor wife. My poor long.
Okay, can I ask that question?
Please.
Oh.
How is being married for that long and the evolution of sex in that regard? Because there is the old wives
eating the same peanut butter and jelly sandwich every day.
You've read my mind, Tom. You've read my mind.
Well, so one, the reality is that you like, and this is not just humans, but through the animal kingdom, a male will lose his erection after sex unless you introduce a novel female, and then he'll be able to get it back faster, which is absolutely hilarious. But it's all a game of trade-offs. So when you get married, you are saying that I'm more interested in trust, in building a long-term ally, somebody that is working with me. And if you know how to psychologically invest in that, then all of a sudden it's like you get the best of both worlds. So first of all, I'm still extremely turned on by my wife, who has done me the great service of remaining in incredible shape, very healthy and all that good stuff. And so that helps a lot. But we have always talked about that there's going to be a reality to be faced, which is, over time, if you're not careful, that you'll have what's known as bed death. And so you become more like roommates. And so Lisa and I have always been extremely cautious about bed death. And so we are very smart to keep the sexual spark alive, to try different things, to experiment and have fun. Like, that's still a big part of what we do. And so that kind of stuff is really important. And then there's just no getting around that. First of all, I am a hyper responder to oxytocin and vasopressin. So all the like, foreplay, like you stop doing it as you get older. Lisa's been really good to remind that there's a whole neurochemical cascade that happens. So we take time to do that stuff. And this is why I've talked about that experiment of like sitting with your knees touching and staring into each other's eyes for 5 minutes. Like, we're always trying to do things to keep it lively. So my thing, you're having a biological experience. If you know that men are drawn to novel females, if you know that there is this other side to pair bonding that you can lean into, then making sure that you're doing the things to protect against boredom, making sure that you're doing things to lean into the advantages of having a long-term pair bond with somebody, and not thinking that any of this stuff happens by accident, then you're in great shape. Like, we knew that going through menopause was going to be very disruptive from a hormonal standpoint. And so being able to talk about it keeps it from being like madness inducing.
Yeah.
We did have one bit of conflict. I'm not sure if she's still in the feed, but it'd be great to get her feedback on this. But we had one bit of conflict where I said, in my way, you have to understand all of my context. This was not flippant in the way where I was like, hey, can you tell the story faster? That was terrible. What I'm about to tell you, I get out of context. Is going to sound horrible. I fucking stand by this one. It's going to make everybody laugh. I understand that. You're going to ignore the underlying truth of this at your own fucking peril. I said to her, this is happening in your head. And I'm like, that is very different than me saying it's not real, but this is happening in your head. And I'm saying right now, you're having a response that has to do with emotions that are being dredged up by your neurochemistry. And if you lean into that and look at me like I'm out of my mind, it's going to derange our interactions. Because the reality is, the reason you suddenly feel so different is because there's a neurochemical thing that's going on inside of you. And she was fucking pissed. I'm talking like red instantly. Okay, cool. She's still here. Amazing. So she can give you the, either he is saying this in a true way or he's spinning it in his way. And so it was real friction for a minute. She was like, I can't believe you said that to me. And that's so horrible. And I'm like, I am not saying this isn't real. I'm saying you're having a biological experience. This is downstream of a neurochemical cascade. And you need to step outside of that and ask yourself, are my hormones giving me deeper insight into what's happening, or are they confusing you about what's happening? And now you're responding to a stimulus that actually isn't there. And anyway, high friction. And then she was talking to, and I actually don't remember who, and they literally said to her, it's all in your head. And she was like, God damn it. And because it was a woman, she was like, all of a sudden it clicked into place and I realized that my husband was right. And now in that moment, I did not clap for myself and go, see, I told you. I was like, listen, I get why that did not sound good. Now, if in those moments you clap for yourself and you're like, yes, see, I was right, you're making things 1,000 times worse. If in that moment, as my wife says, you give her a soft place to land and you're like, I totally understand why that was frustrating. I get why that made you want to headbutt me. I'm trying to lead you and us to a better place. Now, I'm very curious. I have not checked to see. Has she said anything?
Not yet, but Chai Pet said, I'm going to tell my wife she's having a neurochemical experience. Wish me luck. And Control Alt Debatable said, I'm going home and telling my girlfriend it's all in her head. Thanks for the advice, Tom. That is not the advice.
And they put a smiley face on it, too.
I love it. I love it. You guys are going to have a good time. Okay, there she is. Tamsin Fadai, documentary about menopause. There we go. Lisa Bilyeu, love of my life. Would you say that I accurately represented that exchange, or am I coming at it from a weird angle?
Not someone saying divorce rates skyrocket after this episode.
Everybody goes home. It's all in your head.
Okay, so remember I said within the context of me, you have to be very careful. It was Lisa McCroney who said it. Sorry. She's the top neurosurgeon. Okay, so...
Oh,
there she is. I can hear her off camera. Elizabeth, Ella, if you have a second.
Women love it when you say calm down, you're being emotional.
Yeah.
Chat is hilarious right now.
That's so crazy.
Okay, there she is.
There it is.
Oh, Lisa.
Yunaga, how did I do? Did I
I'm a little behind because, hang on, got you guys in my ear.
Yeah. Which is my nightmare, but yes, I can.
Yes, come on up.
I was working out, people, so pardon the workout, but I was like, I gotta come and say something.
Yes, please.
So I missed your last question.
Just have I accurately represented that exchange?
Oh, yeah. So it was actually a documentary that I was watching. Oh, my alarm. That's for me to stop working out. They did a documentary, Tamsin Fadal, and I don't know if you know Lisa Mosconi. So Lisa Mosconi is like the top, I don't know if she's a neurosurgeon or neuroscientist. I don't know how much of a difference there is there.
Big, but...
She's a neuroscientist that studies the female brain. And in the documentary, literally, he says, it's all in your brain. I was like, how dare you? I was mortified. I was like, you're dismissing it. Now, he explained, what I interpreted is you were saying you're imagining it.
Yeah.
That's how I interpreted what he was saying. So then I watched a couple of days later this documentary, and I'm sitting there, and it's Lisa Mosconi, who I very much respect. Like, everyone respects her. And she's like, so it's all in your head. But what I did there is I didn't double down. I actually filmed the television and I sent it to him. And I said, hey, I understand now what you meant by it's all in your head. And those types of interactions are, if you don't get on the same page, if you don't see it from the other person's perspective, we would still be arguing about that right now. Or we would have swept it under the rug and it would have shown itself in like 6 months to a year.
Popped up somewhere else, yeah.
So anyway, I'm a bit of a state, but I just wanted to say that. So because we were able to get on the same page by talking about base assumptions of what that means. It's all in your head. And then once I realized and understood it, I then took it to, okay, so right now your feelings are real, but your mind is feeling like everything he's saying is combative, but only because my emotions and the chemicals in my body are making me perceive it that way. So I go, what do I know about my husband? I know he loves me. What do I know about my husband? He's here to support me. We've had 25 years together almost. So the intellectual part of myself, I had to force forward so that I can then back up, lower my emotions, and then have the communication with him.
Nice.
All right, I gotta go.
All right.
You guys are doing great. They're doing great.
There was a couple of comments I'm paraphrasing for the chat, but this is not to make it somber a little bit, but what advice do you give to people who might not be able to articulate in the moment how they're feeling or how to process those emotions, and instead try to dunk or let that simple miscommunication turn into that second level thing that becomes the argument that shows up 6 months later?
Yeah, you've got to have rules. So one of the rules that Lisa and I have is you don't argue about the tea. And so we'll say in the middle of an argument, we're arguing about the tea. To Lisa's point about filming something and sending it to me, if you find somebody that can articulate the thing that you've been trying to say, then send it and talk about it. Act in good faith. Lisa's really got this brilliant thing algorithm that she runs, which is, does my husband love me? And she said, as long as the answer is yes, then I'm going to try to understand where he's coming from. And so we do the steel manning thing where it's like, okay, I will articulate your position in a way where you would say, yes, you understand my position perfectly, which means you're going to have to give it the emotional warmth. You're going to have to like really be trying to put the best spin on it. And the great thing about steel manning somebody's argument is that so often you get to, oh, actually now I do see what you're saying. And so enforcing myself, because let's say I say it to her and that's not quite it. And then she'll give me a tweak on it and I'll be like, got it. Okay, let me say it back and make sure I have it. But now I see the oblique angle that you're coming at it from. It may not even invalidate what I'm saying, but I get the emotional tenor of where she's at. And then I will ask her, say it back to me. Now, I want to make sure everybody understands that we also get in arguments. So it's not like we don't ever get caught up in an emotion or we're feeling insecure, but we have another rule, which is speak in insecurities. So if you're getting mad, it's not 100% true, but it's so close, you might as well act as if I'm getting mad, it means an insecurity of mine has been triggered. And so now I want to just say whatever that insecurity is. And like, this is tough. I think being able to do that comes from a place of tremendous confidence in something. For me, the thing is, my confidence is around my ability to identify the right answer over time. It's not that in any one moment I will be right. It's that I really don't let my ego get in the way. I really am clear about what my goals are, and I figure out what is the thing that most approximates the truth. And as I figure that out, I know that I'm going to adopt that thing. So that means that I don't mind being wrong, even in an argument. And I also know that my wife won't weaponize my insecurities against me. And so you've got to build a lot of that connective tissue. And so a lot of this stuff, man, if you're already in what's known as the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, contempt being the easiest one, if you're already there, it might just be too late to unwind it. That's the bad news. Lisa and I, very early in our relationship, came up with the analogy of dust settling. And it's like any one speck of dust is not a big deal. But over a year, a lot of dust builds up. And now all of a sudden, like, you've got a real problem. So we're like, okay, we don't let dust settle. And so when something happens and we're like, oh, it's no big deal, and you just let it go, we would keep talking about something that felt like a minor point to where we'd be like 2 hours deep into an argument and you're finally wrapping it up and you think, oh, thank God, because it's like Saturday and it's our only time to hang out. And then right as you're about to end, the person says something you disagree with and we're like, fuck. But we wouldn't sweep it under the rug. And we would just go, okay, I know that this might open things back up, but here's what I really think about that thing. And if you can do it in a way where it's like, I'm not trying to win, I'm just trying to tell you what I believe to be true, even if you're not going to like it. And that has meant that we've had to spend a fair amount of time, especially when we were younger, having to like negotiate all this stuff and navigate it and like be honest at times where lying would have been so much more convenient. But we didn't. And so on the other side of that, things got really powerful. And at some point, probably not today, just because it's such a big fractal, but at some point as a community, it might be interesting to talk about the hardest thing we've ever had to navigate, at least from my perspective, was her going from, she was never a trad wife, but just for easy talk, going from trad wife to entrepreneur, that was hard. And once we got on the other side of that, I was like, oh, we can get on the other side of literally anything. minus infidelity. That's the one thing neither of us would fuck with. But anyway, you get the idea.
Skerber Derber said there's actually 5 horsemen. And the last one is they left out knowing where the clitoris is.
There it is, Skerba Derba. I love it. If you can work it into the conversation, do. That's a good rule in life, by the way. That's a good rule.
All right, chat. What have you guys seen popping off on your feeds? What are some things happening on your world?
Yeah, please.
We're about to hit super chats and everything like that, but we want to just make sure we get a heartbeat of what's actually happening. It's a slow-ish news day. A lot of people are still talking about this Signal release. We had our episode yesterday about that.
Like, that's really going to be a thing.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
They're doing hearings now. Democrats are pushing for
give me your best argument for why the Signal thing is a big fucking deal. I want to know about it. Good morning, Christian Roman. Wonderful to see you. Chia Pet, everything Ghibli. Yeah, I suppose we do have to at least acknowledge that. We talked about it yesterday, but that was before it became like a fucking phenomenon.
Yeah. I mean, hey, I did the thumbnail thing. That's about as much talking.
Yeah, exclusives. We talked about the Signal thing yesterday.
Joe the Ho, Alpha School, 2 hours of AI learning.
Joe the Ho? Is that really? Where?
That's really his name.
I don't see it.
I will put it on big screen.
Joe the Ho. Wow. Okay, there we go. Alpha School.
That's the Mackenzie Price woman. I was telling you about a couple of days ago that does education with AI. I listened to one of her interviews, and the takeaway is that the way that they got to test scores up so high is that,
okay, now I know what you're talking about.
I missed this part. They only school for 2 hours. So for the rest of that day, they don't, and of course, if you only had 2 hours of school, parents would have to leave work early and stuff like that. So now they're filling that time with doing other things like vocational activities. They want to introduce like a financial literacy campaign. So she was like, the whole like AI is coming to the classroom. We have to break the classroom and reorganize education.
Hell yeah.
She didn't, it became administration wise, like a principal talking to teachers to rally them up. So she wasn't like, let's bring robots and like really
bring robots.
Not like, but she didn't really talk about the infrastructure and what it's going to fundamentally do on like a national level, but more so like in this building, how can we like change it? But thanks for
right as we're pushing education to the States.
Yeah,
I'm here.
It's a very interesting time.
Exciting.
How old are these kids?
This is exciting.
Ooh, high school. There was an 11th grader sitting next to her as like her proof of concept, but I think they expanded it K through 12 now.
All right, so really fast, we got some people chiming in about the Signal thing. Lyra says, the Signal release is anathema to me as to why it matters at all. You guys of the same mind, I take it. I mean, I won't say that it doesn't matter at all, but I am caught off guard by how much this is catching fire.
Sorry, I was going to quick disclaimer for those who don't know about the Signal thing. What happened was an Atlantic journalist got added into a group chat with Pete Hegseth, JD Vance, and a bunch of other top department heads and secretary officials about the Houthi attack while they were kind of organizing the plan. One of the things that came out was Hegseth, JD Vance didn't want to do it because he didn't want to bail out Europe again. And then another thing is Hegseth came out and said at 11 o'clock, we're going to fly the F-18s, 12:15 first impact, 2:15 second impact. We're also launching so they kind of did their tactical plans, but there was no location, no target, it was just this weapon doing this thing, leaves at this time. Second strike starts at this time with this weapon. Third strike starts at this time with that weapon.
And my thing
is a lot of information.
It's obviously terrible, but was it done maliciously? I doubt it. There are people saying it's a psyop or it was classified info, all that. Having the argument at that level is probably dumb.
Deebs, that's a really good point. He said, with the Signal fiasco, I find it hard to believe adding an anti-Trump journalist was an accident. That's my thing. Like, Michael Waltz started the group chat. If it was his aide who went rogue, whoever it was, like, if we need to find a head, that's the head. The person who sent the first message starts the group chat. You dictate the group chat. You added the person in.
Was it like an Apple group chat? Was it a WhatsApp? Do we know?
Like it was in the messaging app Signal, which is encrypted texting.
Yep. So you guys just don't look at who's in the group chat?
No, that's the thing. It said plus 14 others at the top. Like, you can see the list of people. But
but have you guys never done that where you add like the wrong? I do this with Rich all the time in Slack because he's got multiple email addresses that auto pop up, and so it just ends up going to the wrong person. And I see Rich populated. Yep, cool, go move.
Yeah.
Now listen. It is dumb. There's no doubt about that. But in terms of making this like a big scandal, I don't know. I mean, look, if it comes out that the person was maliciously added, that's a totally different flavor. But that's not what's happening. The left is just like, Mike Waltz, I think is his name, needs to be fired. Like, this is crazy. Some people are saying fire Pete Hegseth. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ, do you know how hard it is to find good people? Like, if the guy isn't good, fire him for not being good. But something like this that basically everybody has done, apparently, except Eunice.
My name is Andrew. I'm in a lot of wrong group chats. It's like, oh, I meant that one. Oh,
Yup.
Drew from where? Like, it's a common name. So
I've personally never added the wrong person to a group chat, but I will also say
You running for office now?
I hate group chats. So
That could be that.
Don't add me to
I've
every
never
chat.
misadded somebody because I've never created a group chat before in my life.
So
Yeah.
I'm 1 for 0 or whatever.
Colonel Robinson, maybe because Pete Hegseth copied and pasted top secret info over Signal. I get it, but like that's like that's
So
viable
wait, is
offense.
the beef, we don't want people using Signal because Signal is an approved communication device, and you don't want the government to have to create everything themselves. So that's where I'm like, I get that he shouldn't have had the wrong person in there for sure. I don't have a problem with them using Signal, which is like encrypted top to bottom. I trust Signal to have been put through the ringer for anti-hacking far more than anything that the government makes themselves. So anyway, I don't see anything super new here.
If you can, Colonel, I actually want that follow-up. They don't know if it was the only instance. This is the time that they got caught because they added a reporter. So I heard on that. But again, is Signal the beef that they shouldn't be using Signal, or is the beef that he had F-18 strike plans on there? And are they relevant? I seen Sequoia Hall just also with a super chat. So thank you, Sequoia Hall.
The light is on, baby.
Chat. Let's go.
Sequoia Hall, thank you for the $20. Sequoia Hall says,
Indeed.
It's the hypocrisy with the quote, lock her up over the emails.
Yeah. To me, that was dumb. This is dumb or exaggerated. I get why people are mad, but making it the biggest thing ever, it's not going to move the country forward. That would be my final takeaway. Your sound is fading in and out, says Julie. Awful to listen to. Is that because I'm moving from the mic? Or is it just a Julie problem? Well, chat, if anybody else is having that problem, definitely let us know. I don't see any other complaints about it yet. We shall see.
They want people to think they use Signal to communicate. That's
everyone's saying it seems fine.
Deep Thinkers Club, you nailed it. They planted
Thank
this.
you guys for the feedback.
This was a whole psyop. I don't know, guys. I think it's just a slow news day and people need things to talk about.
Yeah, I think it's actually more of a team sport thing, and anything they can use against the other team, they will. That really drives me nuts. I hate that. But it just seems architecture of the human mind. Don't see us getting around that one.
RFK Jr. plans 10,000 job cuts in the major restructuring of the health department. So Doge is attacking the HHS. I think
attacking, is that the word we want to use?
I'm reading a headline.
We should want a nice, tight, efficient government. But alas, that is somehow like the world's most partisan thing ever. But each side has said it, and each side attacks the other side when they say it. That drives me crazy. But
all right. We're gonna play Google News today. Going down the headlines, I know that there's been another migrant, another person of foreign descent, because I don't know their exact immigration status, that was detained recently because they had anti-Israel messaging. I know there was the guy from Colombia. They just detained somebody from Tufts University. I know you're a free speech person. Mm-hmm. I think this is like a line in the sand. Do you think?
Can you pull it up? I don't know anything about this. The previous one I do, but this one I don't. Judge orders Trump administration to explain ICE detention of Tufts students. Can you zoom in a little? Okay, a lawyer for a Turkish national and doctoral student at Tufts University who was detained by U.S. Department of Homeland Security filed an emergency motion on Thursday requesting that the government produce her after she was shipped off to Louisiana despite a previous court order that she should not be removed from Massachusetts. At court hearing in Boston on Thursday morning, the district judge, Indira Talwani initially issued an order giving the government until Friday to answer why Rumyesa Öztürk was being detained. Talwani was ordered that Öztürk not be moved outside the District of Massachusetts without 48 hours advance notice. However, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, which is part of DHS, said on Thursday that Öztürk was being held at a detention center in Basel, Louisiana, and had spoken to her lawyer. A senior DHS spokesperson also confirmed Öztürk's detention and the termination of her student visa. Okay, so this seems to be a collision over the courts and whether ICE needs to listen to the courts or whether they can act first and get permission later versus giving me the details of what the person did. So we can certainly have that conversation, but that wasn't the initial question. Is this the actual breakdown of what she did? Nope. Still all. Wait. That paragraph. Back up a little. Okay. In a statement, a DHS spokesperson said on Wednesday that Öztürk had been granted the privilege to be in this country on a visa. Without supplying any proof, the spokesperson accused her of supporting Hamas, the Islamist group that controls Gaza, and led the attack on Israel on 7th October 2023, prompting Israel's war on Gaza. Officials may have already revoked the student visa for Öztürk, who was from Turkey. Had no pre-knowledge of this incident. So I'm going to need, given that they said without providing any proof, I'm guessing there's no proof in here. Okay, so you have two issues. Issue number one is freedom of speech. People should be able to say, if you're a citizen of the country, you should be able to say anything that you want, up to the things that have already been ruled on by the Supreme Court. If you are not a citizen of the US, we need a very clear policy for what those people can and can't do. It is my understanding that that is already documented. So if this person did not violate something that is already documented policy about what green card holders can and can't do, if they did violate that, then hey, you fuck around and find out. If they didn't violate it, then we have a problem. So this should not be vague. This should not be done as one-offs. Anytime something like this is happening, it should always be done at the level of policy, and that policy should be uniform. So yeah, now, given that we don't have the details, at least from what we just looked at, I can't tell you whether this was a good or bad move. Now, on the courts issue, we have to decide, again, as a matter of policy, whether the president can be, is beholden to a local, what do they call them? District federal judges. Mm-hmm. So that, if it's settled law, nice and easy. You abide by the settled law. If it isn't, and this needs to be litigated, they need to litigate it fast, because I think it's a terrible fucking look that the president is flouting the court system. You can't do that. Like, checks and balances exist for a reason. So hard pass from me on Trump or any member of his administration saying we don't have to listen to them if it's settled law. I just don't know where the gray area is with this. So
yes, some judges are appointed, some are elected in. So I definitely know that there probably are some people that are activists, but it goes both ways. When the Democrats are in power, they appointed some judges. When the Republicans are in power, they appoint some judges. Yeah. And that is fundamentally why there's three branches of government. Yeah. If you really have that beef, bring it up to the Supreme Court and let them decide.
No doubt. And the more I research about the founding of America, the more I'm like, this shit has been contentious from day one. Like the states' rights thing, that was basically the argument. We had won the Revolutionary War without people agreeing whether this was going to be a united nation after the end or if it was going to be a bunch of states. Pretty crazy to think that, like, there was a time where all of the founding fathers were like, I'm not sure this is going to work out. So I think it was Hamilton that was saying, like, basically, I expect the big states to start bullying small states if we can't get a strong federal government. And basically, this is going to be one big clusterfuck if we don't lock this down. It's pretty crazy to think how close we came to that, taking that bullet.
Yeah. And the fact
somehow, some way, they managed to pull it off.
He did all that while rapping. Just crazy.
Can you believe it?
Founding fathers, man. I tell you.
God bless them all. And thankfully, racially diverse. God bless them, everyone.
All right. I think it's that time for super chats. A couple came through.
Is it that time?
We're at the bottom.
Really
of the
fast,
hour.
I want to address Christian Roman. I don't know what LPRs are as green card holders. The short answer is they do have freedom of speech, but there are going to be consequences. So if you're saying an American citizen can say, I'm opposed to the American government, and I would like to see something new in its place. If you have been invited into the House and you say, I don't like this country, then there are going to be consequences. And people are going to say, well, you're not the person that we want to invite into this house. So legal permanent resident. Yeah. So keep in mind, I have a wife of 20 plus years. We've never bothered getting her citizenship. So she better watch out how hard she claps back on the US. That's just being honest. So yeah, we have a culture. That culture should be protected. So there it is.
So if somebody, hypothetically, you're protesting for Hamas.
Yep.
Or, okay, let me take a step back. You're protesting for the liberation of Palestine.
Yep.
Freedom is a fundamental U.S. right that we advocate for.
Yep.
If I'm advocating for free Palestine, I deserve to have my legal status taken away?
I wouldn't think so. And I'd be very shocked if they took that. If you said I'm pro-Hamas, which is a U.S. designated terrorist organization, now you're going to have a problem.
Copy. And then at that point, you should.
And that's why I would say there's a very big difference between saying I want to see Palestine be free and I'm pro-Hamas. Those are two very different things that I would expect to be treated very differently with Tom Bilyeu's value system. Also, I think you'd be pretty hard pressed on the legal standing to say they're pro-Palestine and therefore they've got to go. I think that would be wildly unpopular. So, but being pro-Hamas, a designated terrorist organization, that's a whole different thing.
Okay. Esoteric Dichotomy said, buy Lisa a gold card.
It's actually not a terrible idea, to be really honest. Although I could save myself $5 million and just have her pass the test. That's probably the smarter thing to do. But yes, if she were clapping back and be like, wait a second, let me write this check real fast.
Super chat fun.
Yeah, because I would rather not lose my wife. So yes, if it came to that, first I'd be like, hey, let's chill with the pro-terrorist talk, shall we? But if I couldn't get her to, then yes, that is a worst case scenario. But at some point, we probably should just make her a citizen. There's no even real reason why we haven't. It's just laziness. So there you have it.
Ono says, save money on the gold card. You need the LED screen.
Yeah, facts. I'd much rather have the LED screen. Not than my wife,
Oh
but then the gold card.
And even if she gets deported, we can just FaceTime
Right?
her here.
Yeah,
Like,
FaceTime,
Lisa,
look,
you're here.
This is good.
You never left.
Can't quite hold her hand anymore. You know, or other things, but alas.
We'll come back at night and Tom just on the screen.
I'm licking
He
the
said, I
LED
miss
wall.
you.
It would be pretty bad. When she's gone, I do miss her viciously. Not good.
All right, everybody. It is time for your super chats.
Let's go.
Thank you, everybody, for giving us some super chats. We really appreciate it. Let us begin with Lyrith. Lyrith sent in a $10 super chat saying, cells grow and divide. When a cell divides, it uses up the length of something called telomeres. When telomeres become too short, cells can no longer divide, leading to aging and eventual cell death.
Yes, but that's a good thing. And so telomeres are part of how the system stops cancer. So if you think of it as a self-destruct button that evolution has planted in, you're probably closer to it. And so I'll be very curious to see if artificially lengthening telomeres or artificially propping them up so they don't get shorter ends up being a win or a loss. I don't know. That's just me saying hypothesis. There's a reason that cells have that self-destruct mechanism. Now, if you're doing things that artificially shorten it, that's also bad because that's aging. But it's probably not going to be as simple as do everything you can to lengthen them. Yeah. It's going to be do everything you can to stop them from shortening unnaturally fast would be my gut instinct.
Sweet. Thank you, Lyrith. We have a super chat from Patrick Wrightson. Patrick says, you guys should just live stream every day. Laugh emoji. The duration and discussion is better than anything else out there, podcast or otherwise.
Patrick, that is so
with
kind.
With a flex arm emoji.
And listen, we were just having this debate yesterday. So it's always a question of if we do the same thing over a long enough time period, will it work? unknown? Or do you take that early signal of like, because the numbers on the lives are very weird. There is literally from 1 week to the next, there is this hard step function up where our lives used to get like, call it 650. And then literally from February 28th to March 1st, it was more like February 26th to March 3rd, whatever the gap was at the time, it jumps up to like 1,200. But once we made the jump to 1,200, now it just hovers at 1,200. So we're like, okay, are we going to see in April that this takes another step function up? We don't know. So this is the mystery of doing things like this, is you never know. So you just got to keep plowing ahead. So anyway, that sentiment means a lot to us, and we are certainly not deaf to it, and we appreciate it very much. But we also know we are likely to delude ourselves, because that's what I want to hear. That's what I want to believe. So we will continue to test ourselves against the real world. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. But I very much appreciate the fact that you spent money to say a nice thing. That is exceedingly generous.
Thank you, Patrick. We have a super chat from Insight Junkie. They said, is there value for the average person to pay attention to the news without the ability to change things? It feels like a reality show for the politically minded.
Honestly, Insight Junkie, that's a good insight. The more we cover politics, the more I'm like, oh, this is just a reality show for the politically minded. So I think that has high predictive validity. But I think that the idea that you can't make change has low predictability. You absolutely can. If you can sway culture, politics is downstream of culture. So it's just hard to sway culture. So the question becomes, do you enjoy being in that battle? If you do, then throw your hat in the ring, say your thing. Every little bit counts. If you don't enjoy it, then obviously, you can completely check out. I actually thought about that recently, given the advances in AI and given how much I love doing the Tom Bilyeu Show in a way I have never enjoyed content. So that's something. But at the same time, while I don't believe in fate or destiny or anything like that, if I were going to use those words, I believe I was put on this earth to tell stories. And I say that partly because I think I'm good at it, but even more important than that, I get an incredibly strong emotional response from it, even without feedback from the world. So I would not enjoy talking if I didn't get feedback. But I do enjoy creating stories even before anybody else reads them. And I think part of the reason that I love this, and Drew and I were talking about it, so the lives are not nearly as successful as the episodes posted afterwards. So what we call the tight 60. Those perform better. So the world is saying, no, I don't really give a shit about your lives, but I do care about your tight 60. But I don't enjoy doing the tight 60, at least not nearly as much as I enjoy doing the lives. So it's like, what do you do with that? Drew's trying to convince me that how much I like something matters. I tend to reject that notion as I'm just goal focused, but there is something to it.
And kind of piggybacking off of that, there is something to being selectively filtering your news, being selective about what news you intake, because I don't necessarily think I need to cover the 15th Trump press conference. But at the same time, AI image generation legitimately changed the game yesterday. Mm-hmm. So I would just say, Insight Junkie, there are things that are important in your specific world. You're a business owner and the small local business club is doing something. That's something you should follow. But yeah, like a Taiwanese maybe Cold War, it's cool to read at the headline level, but don't feel like you need to deep dive every single topic. You can't take on the world.
That's interesting. I think you can take on the world. Delusional, but at the end of the day,
in sentiment, yes, Tom. But there are things that you selectively ignore now. And I'm not trying to be like a gotcha or accusatory or nothing.
You know I don't mind gotchas or accusations by all means.
But there are certain many things you're like, I don't have time for that.
That is very true. I completely concede that point. At the same time, I hate the energy of you can't take on the world. Again,
you can take on your world, your constructed world. You don't need to take on other people's world. Matter of fact, you said it. Every good idea doesn't need to be executed by me.
Yeah, that is true.
So it's the same, like every good headline doesn't need to be consumed by me.
Yeah, very true. Concede.
We have a super chat from Brutus.
Let's go,
Lugo.
Brutus.
It's not that people are
Brutus
too dumb
man.
to think things through. It's that this will just support people's confirmation biases, which is dangerous.
Cool, man. I recognize your angle. Totally get that. And I'm grateful to have somebody in my life that does not view the world the same way that I do. So I very much appreciate you putting that forward. I'm not persuaded by it, but nonetheless appreciate having that lens on things. So as always, man, that you paid money to help me get a little bit smarter, I appreciate.
We have a first time ever super chatter from Juliet.
Let's go,
Juliet. Haas.
Welcome to the party, Juliet.
Thank you, Juliet, for super chatting and being here. Juliet says, good morning, Tom. I appreciate your in-depth discussions about what is going on in our world. You are one of my favorite podcasts to listen to.
Again, exceedingly kind. What is that image of? Is that Juliet taking a photo and the wind is blowing her hair?
It looks
It's interesting. Is she
somewhat
a photographer?
Animated or drawn?
I didn't want to leap to it, but you had me at anime if that is, but hard to tell. But Juliet,
yeah.
exceedingly kind.
I
appreciate that very much.
I zoomed in on my side. It's her.
Welcome you. Nice.
Welcome
It is interesting
Juliet.
how it does look animated though.
Great photo.
It is a very cool photo.
We have a super chat from Michael Rudolphson. Michael, welcome back. Michael says, strange question. What is actually working hard according to y'all? For me, it is a personal definition of what actually working hard is.
Yeah, I think all of that stuff is ultimately going to be you evaluating yourself based on your own value system. To me, and again, I am not inviting you guys into my mental illness, but for me, working hard is about literally doing everything that doesn't damage your health to achieve the things you want to achieve. Now, I will assume that you have an honorable goal, but if you have an honorable goal, my thing is the way that I earn my own respect is by what I call leaving it all out on the field. And I mean leaving it all out on the field. So the only thing I do try to listen to my body, like when I was working 120 hours a week and started getting vertigo, I realized, that's too much and we're going to need to back it off. So I don't ignore signals when I get them, but yeah, I do try to push myself to the max because I love that. I don't think that people are wasting their lives if they don't. I want people to live the life that they love. But for me, oh man, do I love that. I love going all out. Deep Thinkers Club, you're trying to trigger me. I feel like I'm being trolled right now. Work smarter, not harder. To each their own. I will stay true to what I was just saying. For me, working smart, working hard, and working long hours is the juice. For me, I'm not judging. I know not everybody does that. You should live the life that you love. I want to be very clear, but goals make demands. So just keep that in mind.
A brutal truth I heard during you and Hermosi's talk is there are people that work 20 hours a day and are broke. So it's not like this whole like work hard and you will be successful. I shouldn't say broke as if that's the definition of success, but just because you put a lot of hours doing the same thing over and over and over doesn't equal successful output. You have to be strategic in what you are putting that time and working to. So I do think working smart has an element to it, but it doesn't replace the amounts of hours a goal takes to be accomplished.
Yeah, you have to work smart.
Yeah.
Otherwise you're toast.
Yeah.
The even harder truth is no one can guarantee success, but they can guarantee the struggle. No one is going to be successful without struggling. It just does not happen. Mm-hmm. So given that truth, focus on struggling well. What is the thing that you would love doing every day, even if you were failing? That to me is a wise guiding question because the odds are you're going to fail.
We have a super chat from Mr. Mike AZ057. Mr. Mike says, I'd love your take on this philosophical video on liberty and hear you steelman and flaws one day. It's 8 minutes. I put the link in the Tom Bilyeu Show Slack.
All right. Thank you, Mike. Given that it's 8 minutes, means 4 minutes at 2x. I think we can do that. Can you just make sure that it gets Slack to me?
To you directly?
Yes, please.
Yes, sir.
And then we will take a look at it. Word. Thank you, Mr. Mike.
Thank you.
Lyrith with a $5 super chat. Lyrith says, yeah, that neurochemical emotional reaction is the thing I meant back when I asked how you maintain your patience with triggers like censoring speech.
Yes, I don't really get triggered like that when it's abstract, when it's someone I don't know. But there certainly are things that legitimately trigger me where it is an actual emotional response. And when I get into that phase, I deep breath, breathe from your belly, try to remain calm, use the biological hooks in order to get out of it. I find certainly diaphragm breathing works. That's a big one. But sometimes when you're caught up in the emotion, you roll with it. Emotions aren't always bad. You just have to be apprehensive. I don't trust my emotions, but that doesn't mean I don't leverage my emotions.
Joe the Ho says,
our favorite ho.
Colorado strongly limiting detachable magazine for guns and other restrictions to a worthless without at least semi-automatic weapons. Bill 23-003.
Yeah, so we looked at this the other day, and I don't know enough about guns to give you a really strong take, but yeah, especially semi-automatic, I'm not sure that I would be. I certainly don't have a beef with semi-automatic weapons, and having semi-automatic weapons, yay. But again, I don't know enough about it to really take a strong stance here.
I don't know if the Second Amendment is worthless because I feel like a shotgun to the face still hurts.
Yeah, but they're thinking about rising up against the government. So the Second Amendment, it's very, so going back to the framers of the Constitution did not agree with each other. Thomas Jefferson was a bit isolated when he was like, you have to, what did he say? You have to like re-earn liberty through the blood of patriots and tyrants alike, something like that. Everybody else was like, God damn. Like, Jefferson, ease up on that shit. Like, we just went through a Revolutionary War. Like, can we chill for a fucking second? Because they were starting to get ready for some bloodshed, like lickety-split, before we like actually built the Constitution and had that all ratified and in place. So we do want to be thoughtful about, it's a different game to be going up against somebody breaking into your house, in which case a shotgun to the face gets you a long way, and going up against the government, where they can go pretty ham. And if you really want to be able to frustrate them, you've got to be at least at the level of like an Afghan hiding in caves. And they've got automatic weapons and shit like that. And we know that that level of pushback, you can really stymie a great power. So that feels to me in keeping with the Second Amendment, like, if I can get to that level where it's like, yeah, you're not going to want to fuck with we the people, because just as you learned in Afghanistan, if I'm armed, even though you were the bigger, badder power, like, we can cause you fucking problems because of asymmetric warfare. And so you don't need to be able to nuke for nuke it, because obviously we do not want people to be privately armed with nuclear weapons. I'm very here for stopping that. But a shotgun, like, you're probably going too far with that when you really think about what it means to stand up against your government.
I feel like they got drones, so
they do have drones, but they had drones in Afghanistan. It really works. Like, you're seeing it right now. Asymmetric warfare works, and it is very hard to root out. Look at Gaza. Like, hey, you are able to stymie a much more powerful military. Now, if they're willing to bomb you into the absolute Stone Ages, eventually they will break your back. But hey, you can stand up.
Valid.
Yeah. And fear government tyranny. Fear government tyranny. Don't be unhinged, but fear government tyranny.
We have a super chat from Tracy. Tracy says, thoughts on Speaker Johnson toying with the idea of defunding or eliminating federal courts opposing legality of Trump agenda? Yeah,
I looked into this a little bit. It isn't quite like the headlines would make you believe. So I don't know a lot about this. Way out over my skis here. Would have to do a lot more research. Please, guys, look into this. But it's basically these courts fall into districts. The districts like represent different things, and they have historically, we have dissolved certain things that we didn't think were beneficial. Now, if he's trying to dissolve like all the courts, that would be obviously hyper red flag. If he's trying to partisan dissolve the courts, that would be a hyper red flag. And my gut is he's trying to partisan dissolve. So my gut is this is a bad one and you should be like fucking pump the brakes. I've not looked closely enough at it, but it isn't completely unheard of. So this is things that we have done before. But again, I would be super paranoid. I would assume it's bad until proven otherwise, but I don't know. I haven't looked closely enough.
We have a first-time super chatter from Andrew W. Andrew W., thank you for being here in your first-time super chat. Thank you. Andrew says, which I mean, what does that mean?
I think
democracy? Like democracy?
I think it's just a typo. I assume it means democracy.
Okay, that's what I thought too. Demog collapse is...
demographic.
Demographic.
I get it.
Okay.
Got it. Demographic collapse is 20-year bomb.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
CTL planned econs are weaker than open markets. Authoritarian society invites rebellion. P. Zahan predicts...
Peter Zahan, yep.
Predicts China fails over the next decade.
No,
Why are you so positive on its future?
I love this. That's how you make the most out of your characters.
I was going to say, hold on.
Bro,
he made them characters stretch. He made them characters stretch.
He was even able to get love this show. Andrew, the economy of language here is very impressive.
You could read it. You could read it, which I was surprised.
It took us a minute on Demog.
Well done. Well done.
But we should have gotten it with collapse. It's funny how
Andrew.
we were primed by the previous political question. Okay, so yes, demography is destiny, as they say. There's a time bomb in China and elsewhere. The reason that I think that they're going to continue to do well is when I look into the future, all I see is robots as far as the eye can see. Everybody is going to compete to get people into their country. I think that China offers a far better life than a lot of countries. And so I think that they are going to be able to compete very well, given how many allyships they've been trying to build all around the world. I would not be surprised to see them be able to import a lot of people. Needless to say, I would advise people not to go to an authoritarian country. But if you're already in a hyper dysfunctional country, at least the order that China has to offer would be very appealing. So I get that. They're a very innovative society and they still have an absolute metric shit ton of people. So yes, while they're going to be declining, right now they are still very vibrant. They are the only country that is a pure competitor to the US. Needless to say, I would rather be in America. I would assume that America, barring something really catastrophic, will continue to be the place that more people want to come to. And I think that we will win on the battle in terms of getting more people to come here. But yeah, I would not write China off. I would not write China off. No way.
Esoteric Dichotomy, thank you for your super chat. They said, I am concerned America, right and left, are becoming more authoritarian.
Yes.
I even hear people wishing for a monarchy for a longer political time horizon.
Yeah, I haven't heard anybody going to bat for monarchy, but would I be surprised? No, I wouldn't. We are definitely becoming authoritarian on both sides. That is for sure. And that's what you get in populist moments. When the economy is not working for people, they just want a strong man that says, don't worry, I got you. Follow me and everything is going to be fine. Humans hunger for leadership and certainty. It is what it is. Yeah, I've tried to get Peter Zahan on the show. I would interview him in a heartbeat.
We were talking about it. I think that might have fell through the cracks.
Did he say yes and it was just like a date thing?
I feel like it was in planning mode and I don't know what happened.
I'd love to make that happen.
Yeah.
I find him fascinating. I would love to have an excuse to really deep dive on him. That'd be dope. Let's go, chat. Pester him.
Sequoia Hall, thank you for your super chat, Sequoia Hall. They said, I am partially here for your experiment. We used to do lives and may go back to live on all channels. Our content is much different. Seeing your experiments helps our decisions. Do what you like, Tom. It will be better.
That's what I said, Sequoia.
Well, one, I'm glad that you're learning from other people. I think that is very wise. Let me try a lot of the dumb things so that you don't have to. Now, do what you like. It will be better. We would have to define better. You might be able to make an argument that my life would be better, but then you have to understand my underlying value system. I enjoy things 1,000-fold more when it is leading me to my goals. So case in point, I used to watch a lot of anime. I would wake up in the morning. I was in my 40s. I would wake up in the morning and I would go down to the movie theater and I would put on anime and I would watch episode on episode on episode. And my thing was, as long as I'm done by 7 a.m., that I can do this. And because I need to learn the storytelling format for what I'm trying to do in the comics world, this makes all the sense. It's moving me towards my goals. The second that I was like, I now understand this storytelling format, I cut my anime viewing down to like 3% of what it was. And part of me is sad that I don't get to engage with it. But the reason I don't get to engage with it is now, if I were to do that during the week, it wouldn't give me the emotional response because it's not building towards my goals. So I am fiendish about goal acquisition. Like, I love it. It's not a bad thing. I love that feeling more than I can tell you. So for me to just do what I want, if it breaks my goals, it in a weird way stops being the thing that I want. And Lisa was screaming from the rooftops in all caps that we love Mindy in this household, which is Sequoia's wife. And that is a very true statement, for she has helped my wife. I never thought that this sentence would be a sentence, but Mindy has helped my wife get her period back, and God bless it. Weird statement, but nonetheless true. Crazy.
As a lady,
crazy.
Periods are important.
Yeah, she didn't have one for a long ass time. It's bananas. Now, my wife talks openly about this stuff on her channel, so I'm not ratting her out.
As somebody who prayed for a period to come that never came, so you know,
hey,
I mean, it's
whoa, oh.
Yeah, hers didn't come for 10 years. We did not get a baby in compensation.
You are a blessing here, Lynn. Okay.
Lynn is a blessing.
Nah, I'm playing.
And I'm
sure
Lynn knows.
You guys met Lynn. She's awesome. I love her.
I was also surprised, though. It's all right.
That my daughter was like, cool.
No, that I was the surprise baby.
Oh, you were a surprise?
I was surprised.
Oh, word.
After I came, my mom got her tooth
look at
tied.
that.
So
yeah.
she was like, "Why you guys are down there? Let's just close up."
Why you guys are down there?
Let's just wrap it up.
Hey, I get that.
We had a Prime sub from Tom Bilyeu over on Twitch.
Hey.
And they also sent over some biddies. They said, my perception. Oh.
For the biddies. Let's go. Nice, Eric.
They said, my perception is Americans, even those against it, feel rejected by Canadians not wanting to be American.
God, I hope not. That would be so dumb. They're their own country. So I certainly don't feel rejected. I think it is weird that Trump won't let this go. And look, I get the economics. I get why he wants to do it. But dude, people have their own identity. You grew up Canadian. Your parents were Canadian. Like, it's in your blood. Yeah, yeah. If there are Americans who are legitimately feeling rejected right now, that is very narcissistic, extremely. So no bueno from where I'm sitting. I would have been shocked if they wanted it. I'd be like, what, really?
Yeah.
So no, seems crazy. Seems crazy. Thank you, Captain Red.
We have Jethro Ikiti with 2 super chats back to back. Jethro says, Tom, can I ask how do you stop yourself from listening to a narrative that doesn't yield results to your goals? Why are there situations the narrative is different from the data and the results?
Okay, so nobody can stop themselves from having the first thought, but you literally can stop yourself from having the second thought. So my whole thing is, in my 20s, I was like, okay, I think I'm a loser. I repeat that to myself on a loop. And one day I was finally like, is this helping me? Because this feels like it's making my life worse. And I hear all this data about I'm more likely to believe something that's negative. So hold on a second. I'm more likely to believe something that's negative, not because it's true, but because of some weird wiring in the human mind. I'm miserable. So it's certainly not making my emotional life better. And then the last piece, is this helping me move towards my goals? And I was like, sometimes actually, yes. So I was like, okay, well then let's make a deal. I will only indulge in negative self-talk when it's moving me towards my goals. And given that one of my most important goals is to enjoy my life, I'm going to immediately stop once it doesn't move me towards my goals anymore. And I'm simply going to use something that I wouldn't have had these words back then, but a pattern interrupt. So I'm literally just going to say to myself, I'm not repeating negative things about me. And that was it. And I was just like, nope, I don't allow myself to think that. Nope, I'm not. Nope. All those negative things, I can just stop right now. I do not give a fuck if they are true. That is totally irrelevant to me. So whatever great case my subconscious or conscious mind is going to make about what a loser I am, Nope, doesn't matter, because it's making me back off. It makes me want to curl up in a hole and die. It makes me want to not speak up. And so I'm like, none of those things seem like behaviors that are going to take me to my goals. So we are going to stop. And so for me, I don't understand. Are people not goal oriented? It's like, what do you want out of life? If you want to feel miserable about yourself, if you want to be less than you could be, then please, by all means, kick the shit out of yourself day in and day out. If you don't, then saying all the negative things, no matter how true they are not going to help you. I look out of the world and I see people that do things that don't serve them. I'm just like, whoa, I don't know what to do with that. I don't know what to do with that. Why? Like, actually, why? You believe you deserve to be punished? That's the only thing I could think of. And I had to just say, even if I deserve to be punished, this is not helping me. This is not helping anybody else. So we got to stop.
Jethro's second super chat says, Tom, I understand how much you've helped people. You have improved my life tenfold. You have made me more data-driven, but I won't lie, being data-driven has also made me feel isolated.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Oh.
So one, thank you for the kind words. That's amazing. Being data-driven is making you feel isolated because other people don't share that. Be very curious to hear more on that.
If I may, I think what
please.
they're saying is because some people are so data-driven or so like methodical.
Yep.
I think it leads them to be a little more emotionless.
Okay.
And a little more cold towards others.
Can you predict my response?
That your feelings are terrible.
Your emotions.
So that would be a no. No, what I would say is, okay, one of your goals should be to absolutely love your life. You just got a data point that if I overinvest in this, it's making things worse. And so, okay, I'm not going to overinvest in this. And I have to have some balancing act. So take me. Getting married was the smartest thing I ever did. Leaving my marriage is my number one priority. Smartest thing that I ever did. Recognizing that I'm running a very dangerous experiment because I have invested in two things, my business and my wife. And if something bad happened to my wife, then I would be, from an isolation standpoint, I'd be in a very precarious situation. So I am so in tune with, I'm having a human experience. I understand that my cockiness around being able to be isolated is because I'm nested inside of a marriage and I have a larger family that's loving and are my closest friends, which is why Christmas I'm such a fiend for, because it's the time I get to spend around the people that I'm just the closest with in the world. And because of the business, I'm constantly interacting with people all the time. So anyway, you look at your life and how do you feel is a huge part of that. Mm-hmm. And if you feel negative, you need to find that solution.
Michael Rudolphson says it is really hard to find balance in their super chat.
Yeah, I don't think balance is the right way to look at life. I think going all in on things that matter to you, that is going to be the thing you want. Really what everybody is searching for, whether they know it or not, is fulfillment. Fulfillment is working really hard to gain a set of skills that allow you to make progress, not obtain, that allow you to make progress towards a goal that you care about for your own reasons that uplifts you and other people. So you want to be working hard to gain a set of skills to make progress towards something that matters. If you do that, like everything else is going to take care of itself. You will have times where you're like, oh man, I haven't achieved the thing that I wanted to achieve. Like I routinely ask myself, if I was diagnosed with cancer tomorrow, what would be the most bitter pill to swallow? The most bitter pill to swallow would be that I never did it. I never built the next Disney. It's just a stand-in for what I'm trying to do. And I'd be like, that would be rough. But the next question I would ask myself was, did I try sincerely? Did I do everything in my power to actually make it come true? And if I did, which I have, then I'm like, cool, you weren't good enough. That doesn't bother me. Like I'm okay with that. I don't spiral on that one. What I would spiral on is you didn't actually try. And so meaning like really try. That is the thing that I've built my self-esteem around. I advise the same. The sincere pursuit, not the acquisition of something. And so there's no balance in that, but there is an awesome life in it. That was a big reaction, Drew.
That was a really good chat, but I'm going to wait. We
We have many, so if you would like to...
No, we have a lot. I know.
Yep. All right. I'm going to butcher this name because I don't know what sound the A and the E put together make in this format. AEP Numa, 989 Super Chat.
Is that the one that makes the ash sound?
Is it?
Because this is the one that...
This is the one that Elon used.
Yeah.
And everybody was just making fun of it.
I don't know that that's true, but if it was, it'd be Ash Numa. But I think
But where's the P?
The P, I think, is part of Numa.
Numa?
I think it's like pneumonia where it's silent. Let's call him
pterodactyl.
Numa. Let's call him Numa. That's
Numa.
safer. Numa, hi.
Numa, if you could please phonetically write out your name in the chat so we could say it correctly, that would be great. But they said, any chance we can get Steven Pinker on the show? He's probably the most well-spoken and thoughtfully intelligent to all today.
Here's how I'm thinking about guess. I guess we should finish this.
Yes, sir. He write better to
the better angels of our nature.
Oh, of our natures and enlightenment now.
Yeah, no, I know who he is very, very well. So here's how I think about guest interviews. The whole reason we started the Tom Bilyeu Show is that guest interviews are feast or famine. I believe that the next wave is about being able to anchor your own show, which we'll find out whether I can do or not. And to make the channel work, the YouTube algorithm insists that there be consistency. So the consistency, I think, looks something like, what are the 7 or 8 things that we as a community obsess over and loop on, and then only bring on guests that approach something in those 7 or 8 buckets? I think we'd be stretching a little bit to say that Steven Pinker touches on our 7 or 8 buckets. Now, if you guys start banging that drum and you're like, for instance, I intentionally go on longer, what I'll call mindset tirades as a way to test to see if you guys actually care about it. And then Drew will go into the numbers and he'll tell me whether we go up, down, indifferent, whatever, what the feedback is. If that vein starts popping again, which is certainly how I made my YouTube career in the beginning, then cool, we could bring somebody like Steven Pinker on. Otherwise, it's going to be stuff like relationships, tariffs, general political things, China. I think that's going to be China. That's going to be a big thing for us because I'm fucking obsessed with it. The one I really want to get in there is entertainment. We used to be really religious about doing that on the back half. We've gotten a little lazy about it. Anyway, okay, next.
Lyrith says, theorize if we can effect liberating change and support free speech in the EU. It is dangerous, man. Without it, democracy dies. So are they killing democracy? If so, are they allies? For how long?
They certainly are allies. And I think it would be a mistake to break ties with some of our longest standing allies who actually helped us become a country. They are not headed in a good direction from where I'm sitting. I think free speech is one of the most important things that you have to protect. Again, going back to the founding of the nation, there were some people who were like, I am not ratifying the Constitution unless we're going to have the thing that became known as the Bill of Rights. Thank the Lord that we did that. So yeah, I'm a little shocked that I guess I shouldn't apply the genius of one man, Orwell, to an entire country, but I'm always shocked that the very country that gave us 1984 is becoming 1984. That was weird for me, but hey, there you have it. So yeah, hopefully they stop moving in the wrong direction, but we'll see.
Inside Junkie says, I've been here since the Inside Quest days. I started my channel, hence the username, after your interview with Carol Dweck.
Oh, damn. That's really OG.
I took a break from YouTube and am on to other things. Thanks for the impact you've had on my life.
Well, I'm honored, since I think you're with us on YouTube right now, I'm honored that you were taking a pause from your break from YouTube. I hope the other things are going very well. And thank you for that. That is the kind of thing that keeps me going when I'm like, why am I doing this? Whenever I have a temptation to call in Rich, I think of moments like that. So thank you very much. It means more than I'm actually able to articulate. All right, RJ Johnson's coming in hot. Let's go. Let's go right to RJ.
Oh. RJ Johnson says, regarding guest...
Wait a second. I didn't even see that.
We got to
hold on.
Clap. We got a horn. Like, give them all.
All right. Well done, RJ,
RJ is
Johnson.
not for play.
Well done. Well done.
RJ is not for play.
RJ says, regarding guest interviews and expanding the super chat concept, and similar to Trump's pay to access deal, how much would you charge for me to invite myself onto an interview on IT? Assume it won't fit a YouTube bucket, so you won't actually publish it. Here's my $100 down
I gotta take the claps back. We don't pay to interview RJ.
With
That's
a
dirty.
smiley
No, we
face.
don't take the claps back. Not for super chats. But alas, the answer may not be the popular answer. So we've had guests offer a lot of money to come on the show, and the answer has always been no. So yeah, just for the long-term survival of the show, I don't think that makes any sense. But RJ, if you really are onto something that fit in our buckets, let me know, man. Nothing would be cooler than a homegrown guest. But it just has to be right for the show. And we have to be pretty ruthless about that. There have been so many people in my life, because I've changed the vibe of the channel so many times, who were right for, let's say, phase 1, 2, or 3 and are not anymore. And so they're like, hey, I want to come back on the show. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. That's not what the show is anymore. And that always feels rough. I hate saying no to good people. So, but nonetheless, send it our way. We will take a look. And, as you know, you started the original super chat debate. So we're here for it. Look, we serve at the pleasure of the community. So if we're doing something wrong in the super chats, you guys will let us know over time, and we'll know what the answer is going to be. We'll see. Nothing's written in stone around here.
I'm not going to call him a prince, but I'm just going to say somebody from like Saudi one time was like, hey, we were like, yeah, sorry, we don't do like pay to interview. He's like, hey, how much would it take? I'm like, no, we don't do pay to. Hey. How much? That's what I just had to kind of forward it around. So yes, like it's people have tried to buy their way onto the platform, which is a blessing that everybody wants to talk to Tom.
It is a blessing.
But still, it's a little icky.
It's just not good for the channel.
Yeah.
Not good for the channel.
Ricardo, thank you for your first ever super chat on live stream, Ricardo. Thank you for being
Let's go,
here.
Ricardo.
Thank you for the super chat.
Ricardo says, while I disagree with you on so much, I really appreciate your good faith argumentation and enjoying coming here and having my POVs challenged. At Drew, push back harder when you disagree.
Ricardo, I love everything about that post. Thank you. And even agree. I hope Drew will echo this. I ask him to push back, to represent. I'm like, even if you don't have pushback, if you think you understand where the community is coming from and they have pushback, it's good for a whole host of reasons, not the least of which is what you're just saying there, which is you disagree, but you like the good faith argumentation. But also because my real goal is to get smarter, to have a worldview that is better mapped to what is real. I need people to challenge my thinking. This is why I train even chat to argue with me. I want to know what the opposite side of an argument is. So thank you for being here and for pushing back and for encouraging Drew to do so as well.
Mr. Mike AZ057 says, you can't have the First Amendment without the Second. Only place in world.
Yeah, what's crazy is how true that is. It's crazy to think, everybody. I get it. We've gotten to the point where we feel like you don't need that, but you do. Governments tend towards tyranny. It's in their DNA. So yeah, be careful. Be careful.
Work hard _ Hodl BTC says, I've always wanted a Peter Zahan interview as well.
Let's go. Yes.
Let's do it.
He is perfect for us. Perfect.
We've got another
Gotta
super
get him
chat from Mr. Mike
Especially
AZ.
because he's obsessed with China.
Mr. Mike AZ says, better late than pregnant. Early bird gets the worm, but second mouse gets the cheese.
Let's go. Mr. Mike with an exciting case of Tourette's. Love everything about that. I'm guessing from where we were when you said that. Yeah.
Yes.
But by the time we get to the second mouse gets the cheese, I'm like, okay, we're stringing ideas here together. But I love it. I do the same. I'm here for it.
Zach Goldwasser says, I don't know much about Twitch, but I've seen other streamers join Destiny stream. Have y'all thought about making a collab like that happen? I bet it'd help the Twitch numbers.
Yes, it would. We have thought about it a little bit. Over time, I have a feeling that will be more of a thing. I think we still have a ways to go to earn our stripes before we do too much of that. But yeah, I'm very open to that. The guy I want to connect with is
Asmongold.
Asmongold, thank you. Just obviously he's fucking gigantic. Like gigantic. I had no idea how big he was. So in my defense, even before I knew how big he was, just because he's so into games, and I consider him the autism Salt Bae, I just want to, I really want to connect with that guy. You've got to admit that's pretty accurate. Like it's just enough. It's just right. It's perfection. Oh, you're not a big fan. Never mind.
I think we should move on to another super chat.
Because you don't want to comment, or because you think I'm making my own goals impossible to achieve?
No, your goals are always possible to achieve. You can only go as far as your mind lets you, and your mind lets you go far places.
What just happened?
You
okay? I don't know what happened.
Joe Denham.
And
Joe Denham.
On.
Thank you for your first time ever super chat.
Let's go, Joe.
On a live stream. Thank you, Joe. Joe says, if money printing is the ultimate boogeyman of our economy, how do we actually get the government to stop? Or is this an eternal problem?
Yeah. Well, you have to balance the budget. That's going to be step number one, because if they don't see a way to do anything but default, they're going to print money. So we have to find a way to bring in the ducats, which is why I don't know that what Trump is trying is going to work, but at least it really does feel like he's trying to bring in more revenue, create a sovereign wealth fund, all that good stuff, get us off of the dependence of printing money to ensure that the entitlements, we can actually make those payments. Doge obviously trying to balance the budget, but you have to do that first. You have to balance the budget. You have to balance the budget and you have to bring in more revenue. So growing the economy, you might be able to grow your way out of this with AI. Minus AI is definitely not going to happen, but that would be the only path forward. And if you could do that, then you could get somebody to put legislation forward that is some version of, you're probably not going to peg it to gold, but you're going to do something. You're either going to peg it or you're going to put limits on spending. And I don't know, again, we were talking about this yesterday. I need to do more intellectual work here. I don't think you want to be at zero. Sorry, I don't think you want to be at zero inflation. I just think that you want, okay, this is going to be confusing. Be very articulate. I don't think you want zero increase in the money supply. I think what you want is to play the money supply such that inflation isn't 2%, it's 0. That's my instinct. And that the right way to do that is through banks. Now, it's possible that loans create a similar distortion to putting money back into the system by buying debt. It's the only thing that we'd really have to think through. But given what you're actually trying to do is marry increase in productivity to increase in money supply, because where it breaks is when you have an increase in money supply that's not tied to an increase in what they call productivity, meaning it creates a good or service that people can spend money on. And so you're keeping the two things balanced. Period. No more need be said.
Jethro has a follow-up super chat saying, I'm saying that data-driven makes me isolated because it's hard to bring people together with data and what works. Most people love echo chambers and emotions more than the truth.
God, that is so accurate.
I told you how to do with emotions.
That is so accurate. Unfortunately, that is just accurate. So, yeah, I mean, look, I've thought a lot about this. In fact, let me dry run this idea with Drew and Eunice and you guys. In fact, chat, this is for you. Forget Drew and Eunice.
Nope.
I am considering starting an AI LA group where I would rent, call it a conference room. It's going to start small, as these things inevitably do, to bring people together to find out what the state of AI is for the building of the Impact Theory studio. Would any of you LA-based people attend? But you actually have to know AI. Like, you've got to be implementing this stuff every day, because this is not a chat hangout. I'm trying to move my AI abilities forward aggressively. I feel like we are on the precipice of something, and now is the time to find the most talented deployers of AI in the service of the things that I care about. That's how you build a community. That was why I originally brought that up. But if you would attend something like that, I would love to know. I would love to know, chat. Trina says, read history. I'm not wrong. But Trina, I don't know what you're talking about.
Taxing the rich.
Oh.
I'm trying to save you. I'm trying to save you from these.
Yeah. Okay.
We have a
don't save me because I do. We're not going to go into that because we talked about it. We talk about
and
it
we got
so
super
much.
chats
We talked
to
about
go
it
through.
yesterday.
We have like 3
But
things.
here's what I'm trying to avoid. You and I talked about this yesterday. Are we almost out of time? Is that why I have to be? What time do we have to be done?
11.
We have to be done by 11 so we can start filming, and then we have an hour?
No, we have to be done by 10 so we can start filming.
Oh, shit. So we only have 30 minutes left with chat. Got it. Oof.
We did 3 episodes on it, and I have a whole 30 minutes.
So we're not going to go into it.
So,
but here's what I'm trying to do, chat. I don't want, once we get into super chatting, okay, so we have a little flexibility, but not a lot. What I don't want to do is once we go into super chats that they just get ignored. So I'm trying to be, I read the wrong one. I get it. But I do want to engage. Kaneda, if your name is a reference to Akira, I'm pretty sure you and I are besties. Like instantly.
I wanted to read that one comment from Jacob.
Please
it was
do.
really, really good. I have to find it though.
Take your time. While
we have
do that,
we have one more
what's
super
another
chat, right?
Let's go.
Another super chat. Mr. Mike AZ057 says, you'd be doing a disservice to the world if you stop interviews. You're an excellent interviewer and conversationalist. Get some opposed views also.
Well, we haven't stopped doing it. So that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that getting the interviews needs to be consistent with the Tom Bilyeu Show. So the things that we cover there should be the things that we cover in the interview. So saith the algorithm. And by the way, the algorithm is reflective of the human mind. So if you want to be mad at somebody, we can all be mad collectively at ourselves because we want everybody to be a brand. We do not want them to be human with a wide variety of interests. Rogan gets away with it, but Rogan has become a category unto himself. It's like in video games, there's this whole idea of a roguelike. He's like a Rogan-like. There are many Rogan-like podcasts. So it's now a genre.
Yeah, agree. Jacob Calloway, he asks, what is fulfillment from a first principles perspective? What chemicals must be released in the brain for the emotion to occur? I thought that was a really good way to put it.
That's a really good way to put it. I would be lying if I said that I knew, Jacob. I don't know. I would have to look into that. But that is a really, really good question. Just because I hate dodging things, I'm going to take my best stab at it. It's going to be a cocktail that looks something like, you have the dopamine of pursuit. So dopamine is the pursuit chemical. There's going to be serotonin involved, which is often referred to as the like feel-good chemical. Testosterone is present in both males and females. Given its role in aggression, I'd be a little surprised if there's not something to do with that in there. I don't know what meaning and purpose triggers, but it triggers, it's a contextual cue. But how that plays out in neurochemistry, I don't know. I also think it has a dampening effect on self-critical narratives because you are helping the group. But again, I don't know the neurochemical way that that's going to play out. That's the only honest answer. Full stop.
We have a super chat.
My dad's in the feed. What's up, Dad? This is the real Tom Bilyeu. It's so funny. I was giving my dad a hard time, and then literally the next day about the real Rom Bilyeu. And then the next day I typed, I don't even remember what I was doing, but I typed Rom Bilyeu, and I was like, yeah, that's how it happens. Just like that. The R and the T right next to each other. Well, Dad, it is wonderful to see you at all times. What does he have to say? He's just saying, what's up? What should I do before the stock market tanks? Dad, remember, it's about time in the market, not timing the market. So I would just sit back, hold tight. As long as you are as diversified as you can be, like S&P 500, kind of nice and easy across the whole thing. Just don't put yourself in a situation where if the stock market is down for 2 or 3 years, that you'd be in trouble. So if you would be in trouble, if the stock market goes down for the next 2 or 3 years, then take out enough money where you have that sitting in cash that you could weather the storm, but you will that cash will be getting eaten alive by inflation. To mitigate that somewhat, you would put that into, call it treasury bills, just to keep it really simple. We can obviously go into more detail if you want to talk offline. But yeah, I would take a nice simple approach like that. Do not try to time the market. You'll miss like whatever bounce back there is. And this is how people get themselves in trouble.
We've got some biddies over on Twitch from Straw Hat. Straw Hat says, anyone who's wanting to play Kyzen, join us in the Discord later today
go,
around
Straw
4
Hat.
p.m. PST.
Nice. Let's go.
Straw Hat, you're the man.
I love it. Straw Hat is the man. He's fun to play with. He's good. Watch out. But he is a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
We have a super chat from Ariane.
Grande?
Ariane, not Ariana.
Yes,
Ooh,
our man.
Ariane
Originally,
said-
I think we called him Aryan. We were like, oh, God.
They corrected it.
Ariane.
Yes, they corrected it. Love you, Tom and crew. Wondering if you could consider bringing on notable economists like Henrik Ziberg and Russell Napier.
Don't know either of them.
I've watched your Arthur Hayes vids about 30 times. Much love, crew.
Yeah, Arthur Hayes is fascinating. Very interesting guy. I don't know Henrik or Russell, so we'll have to look into them, but hopefully that was the sound of Drew typing those names down.
Yep.
Thank you for bringing them to our attention.
JT, thank you for your first ever super chat on a live stream. JT,
thank you, JT. Welcome to the party.
Let's go.
JT says, have a currency that can be pushed out to more decimal places. Dollar is $0.01. If you take the dollar to say 4 to 8 places, then smallest unit will be less scarce.
That is a definitionally accurate statement. Though I don't know what we are trying to get to, JT. Is he trying to get more people access to the dollar?
Hit
Because
that
that's
help
not going to work because you're still going to need the same amount of dollars. Thank you for that, by the way. That's amazing. That really is my favorite one. That's our first live one that I could actually hear.
Nice.
That was wonderful. Thank you. Was that you?
Yes.
Quick on the help. That's amazing. Yes. Help.
Marcus Aurelius says, I want to start.
Is this our OG Marcus Aurelius? We've had a Marcus Aurelius in the community forever. I don't know if this is the same one, but if it is, what's up, brother?
Marcus Aurelius says, I want to start a business to create a healthy baby formula. Any thoughts or advice?
All kinds. So what you have to figure out is what is the gap in the market. You need to be solving a problem that people already know they have, and they are screaming for a solution. You do not want to try to convince people that they have a problem. Part of the reason that Quest grew so rapidly was because right as we introduced a bar that didn't have sugar, the world became aware of the fact that sugar was a problem. It is hard to believe that as late as 2010, people did not know that sugar was a problem. Before that, everybody thought it was fat. And so we got that timing right. And so all of a sudden, basically every article, every influencer was like, you got to get sugar out of your life. And we were like, hey, we're the first protein bar that tastes like it has sugar, but doesn't. And so people went crazy. If we had to convince people that sugar was a problem, yikes, we would not have grown at the rate that we did. So figure out what is that hole in the marketplace and fill it well. And ideally, you'd be solving some problem that nobody else has solved up to that point, because that'll also give you a moat. There you go.
Dreadcon's Piracy says, idea, take all Super Chat income, run a drawing or competition, use chat money to bring winner on show, give back to chat, incentivize Super Chat.
Let me read that again. Take all of Super Chat income, run a drawing or competition, use chat money to bring winner on show. Like to bring them here on TBS to hang out with, but they could be terrible TV. So that sounds like a terrible idea, but doing something like I don't know that we can do a competition because there are rules and regulations.
Andrew Press is going to run in here and yell at us.
Dude, if you knew the amount of brain damage I have taken over to give things away comes with so many requirements, especially because people are going to be out of the country. Oh God, it legitimately, oh God, you have to be careful what you say out loud. It makes me want to overthrow, insert extra words. So this is hard to clip, the over words government. That's what it makes me want to do. I'm kidding, but Jesus, it is infuriating that there are that many rules around giving things away. Infuriating.
Dreadcon's privacy, though, you can come to the AI LA meetup that Tom's talking about.
Are we having one? I didn't see any reaction in chat. Is there any reaction at all?
Why would you do it in person instead of doing it online?
Because you build much tighter relationships in person.
Well,
I think people underestimate how powerful in person is. Like wildly.
You know what's so crazy?
Wildly.
Is that you just said that, but you don't like going outside.
Yeah. This is why I remind myself, hey, don't completely take this off your plate. That's the whole idea behind wanting to see if there is an appetite for that. Is I understand that is my Achilles heel.
You know, we all have our things, right?
Yes,
we
we
all
do.
have our things.
Yes, we do. I used to go to an in-person event for comics. You could really meet people that could help you there.
All right. On to our next super chat. We've got
do it.
Rebecca DeMonte, who is our
We have
first
people saying
time...
that they would go.
Well-
For the record, Chuckles.
Chuckles is crazy.
No, not Chuckles.
Rebecca, thank you for your first ever super chat on the live stream. Rebecca, thank you. Rebecca says, Canadian here. Love you, USA. Do you think people have lost the ability to agree to disagree? Does everyone feel the need? They must be right.
Lost implies that we had it. I really am not sure that we have ever had the ability to just sit and disagree with each other. The more you read about history, the more you realize this is just playing out over and over and over forever. It is very sad, but that's how the human mind works. Violet says, Tom is high-achieving otaku. It's probably not as far from the truth as you might think. Otaku are a bit like shut-in-y, although, as we were just saying, I love the otaku.
Andy Y said, Tom, Drew, the EU is preparing for war. How about you? Well, technically, we're at...
You personally?
We're at war with the Houthis, so we just did that group chat thing that we talked about, the signal leak. And then they're also ramping up their defense spending to take on the potential Ukraine-Russia threat. So I just think the EU is getting to baseline. I don't know if they're necessarily preparing for war. That's kind of my read on it.
Well, they're very much preparing for war in a world in which the U.S. is not supporting them financially. So, like you as a nation, you need to be prepared for war at all times. It was just that for so long, everybody could count on the U.S. being prepared for war and that they would come in and help everybody. But now that Trump is making that sound like that may not be the truth anymore, that they're realizing, oh, damn, like we've really got to up our spend. But they cannot assume that they understand Putin's motivations so well that he's going to stop where he's at and he's not going to keep pushing even farther, because there are still elements of the former USSR that some people believe that he wants to push into and reacquire. And so if you're Europe, you've got to be like, hold on. We can't assume that he's not going to do that. So I think that is very wise. Very wise. Get your shit together. That is just a fact of life.
And our last super chat is from RJ Johnson. RJ says, the one just came in. I'm sorry. Not our last super chat. RJ says, you may have missed a point in my super chat. You don't have to publish the interview, just an opportunity to debate directly with you for an hour or two. Still a no-go?
Isn't that what the Zero to Founder is? Or one of the ones, the ITU? That's not
you're not going there to debate with me. You're going there to move your business forward.
Copy.
Yeah, but that's expensive.
Oh. Yeah, sorry. There is a mechanism for that, RJ.
Sort of.
It's a different price bracket.
Even that is... RJ, the short answer is, given how limited my time is and how many things that I'm trying to do, everything has to work double duty. So if we were doing something like that, I have done it historically. It is a lot of money. And so if you really just have no price sensitivity, there is a number where I will meet with people privately and have done historically. But there's commas and zeros attached to that one. So anyway, hit up the team if you're serious. Sure.
Support at impacttheory.com.
There it is.
Woo! Now our last super chat is from Nashcast. Nashcast says, as someone struggling to start a business, should I watch this show or just be in your Zero to Founder community?
Zero to Founder community will be way more useful for somebody trying to start a business, for sure.
They said, I find myself distracting myself rather than actual work.
Yeah, that is the age-old entrepreneur's dilemma. This is what I'm talking about in terms of, did I leave it all out on the field today? I try to audit myself about every 3 hours. Like, have I been making productive use of my time? Yes or no? If yes, keep going. If no, then you need to change something immediately. I find that most people check in with themselves like every 3 years. So no bueno. You want to be very hardcore about what is my goal? What are the demands that my goals make? What do I need to do to actually push forward? Some of this comes down to you got to fall in love with your goals. You actually have to believe that you can make them come true and that there is a set of activities, behaviors that you could do that would lead you towards that goal. And when you both want it and believe you can actually achieve it, it gets a lot easier to do the things you need to do. If one of those two things isn't true, like you either don't care about your goal or you don't believe that you can actually improve enough to achieve it, either of those are going to skit you out. So be careful.
All right, chat. We have a special moment happening right now. You know this is happening.
I actually didn't.
Happy birthday. Jump in the chat. Tom's birthday's coming up, so we're going to start singing to him. Happy birthday to Mr. Bilyeu. Happy early birthday, because we're not actually revealing the day, because I know you're sensitive to that.
Oh, not anymore. I don't care.
Happy birthday to you.
Well, thank
Fire
you.
emoji.
This is a Quest cookie. Nice.
We were going to get you a cake,
well,
but we knew that wasn't going to happen.
I didn't. I'd be lying if I said I did.
Sheesh.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
Now make a
okay.
wish.
Am I going to have to tell you about it?
No, that's not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No, not at all. I actually have one wish, but when I do it, I always make it sincerely.
Aww.
So I wanted to take time to wish for that sincerely. Well, thank you guys. That is very sweet. Very kind. Much appreciated. Thank you, chat, for the emojis. You guys
Tom loves
very,
emojis.
Very
so much his chat GPTs all include emojis after everything.
Happy 29th birthday, Tom. William, that's so very kind of you. Thank you, Will. Yeah, I'm not a person who's worried about my age. We'll be going hardcore next year, which will be my 50th. Believe it or not. Crazy but true.
Are you going to have a Diddy party? Oh, I'm sorry.
Jesus!
Are you going to have a big party? Like a big, like an all-white party with like...
Well, not crazy like that, but we'll definitely do something. I'll try to convince my family to come over here from the UK. Nice. Get my Tacoma family to come on down. That would be a lot of fun.
Nice.
You know where you should go?
Dad, if you're still in the chat, get ready.
You should go to Disneyland.
No.
Oh.
But thank you. My sister went to, I think that was for her 50th birthday. We did like the private tour. That was pretty cool. If you've never done a private tour at Disney, that's pretty dope. I'm not going to lie. That's a lot of fun. Get after it. Ain't no party like a Diddy party, says Phobe. I hope that's literal because good Lord, I do not think that we need any more Diddy parties.
Jesus, that's what I meant. Like
so
an extravaganza, like something big and
yeah, I know what you meant. You meant a Diddy party. Fuck that. Yeah, no. I will go hard compared to what I normally do, but it will not involve baby oil. It will not be a white party. So, but hopefully it'll be a lot of fun.
Ishan Varma.
We actually just got one more super chat. Would you guys like to read it?
Yes,
let's go.
Let me grab this last one, and then we can jump over to that. Tom, your thoughts on future of filmmaking? Any advice for upcoming filmmakers?
I do. AI all day, every day. Like, get on board. It is going to allow a small group of people to tell their deepest, most passionate stories. It's going to allow all of us to engage with like really niche things that we care about. And I think that it is going to be different. And there's no doubt, I don't think it is only better, but for creatives, I think that it's going to be a wonderland. I feel this constant pull to want to go create now because I can push my abilities so much farther. I can get so much more done in so much less time with AI. So yeah, I hope that you guys are staying at the cutting edge of what's going on with the tools, that you're experimenting right now today, even though today you can't create the output that you're going to want. It's not going to look like a feature film. It's, vibe films where you can create a tone, but you want to be one of the first people to show that you can push into that next phase where, whether it's just making it longer or whether it's adding in more character consistency or dialogue, whatever, you want to be at the forefront of that exploration so that as it clicks over and that new thing comes on board, that you're right there beginning to establish yourself. I think this is all going to play out on, I think it's going to play out on YouTube and YouTube-like things. I think Netflix is going to become more like YouTube. YouTube is certainly going to keep doing its thing. And so having to convince anybody to make it because it's going to be effectively free, you won't have to do that anymore. Convincing people to distribute it, you won't have to do that. But you are going to have to be good at getting attention because there's going to be an absolute flood of content. So brace yourselves for that. But we already live in that world, so it's easy enough.
Super chat from Marty Best. Marty, thank you for your first ever super chat on a live stream.
Marty, first time. Let's go.
Marty says, hey, Tom. Happy birth.
Thank you.
In Dalio's book regarding rising and falling powers, he lists some determinists that he is keeping an eye on. Where do you feel we stand in regards to a U.S./China hot war? That's crazy that he said, happy birthday. By the way, how do you feel about this crazy topic?
No, I love it. I have really become obsessed with China. Both as a reality show and as like a reality show. What do I think is going to happen? So we are a declining power. Since I myself can't get myself to accept the realities of that, and I think only about pulling out of the downward spiral, I know that Thucydides' trap is real, and whether we end up actually in a kinetic war, that one I, as an act of faith, want to believe that we are not going to end up in a kinetic war. But the only way that we avoid ending up in a kinetic war is to act as if we're going to, if that makes sense. We have to beef up our military. We have to bring back manufacturing here to the U.S. We have to focus on technology. We've got to focus on drone warfare, which is one of the things I sent you that we'll definitely be covering in our Tight 60, which, by the way, guys, one thing we're finding is that people that watch the live don't watch the Tight 60, and people that watch the Tight 60 don't watch the live. It's very fascinating. I think more and more, so Drew and I are running an experiment right now. It's our least disruptive of the experiments. It feels better for me. I think we'll see it play out in the numbers, but we don't yet. So right now, this is the second episode we're doing in this fashion, where it's much higher engagement with you guys, instead of trying to stick to a script of the things that we say we're going to cover. That means that the Tight 60, though, will be very different. So I encourage you all to check out the Tight 60 when they drop. Those are very predictable. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 a.m. Pacific time. So one of the things that I want to talk about in the Tight 60 is the new weaponry that we're developing and some of the microwave technology, which are basically like a fancy EMP blast. We have to stay up on all of that stuff. If we do that, we might be able to avoid a kinetic war with China. If we don't do that, then China will see their opportunity. They will exploit it, and you'll end up in a kinetic war. So deterrence, peace through strength, as they say. Peace through strength.
Cool. Chat, it's been real.
Wait, one more question.
Okay.
One fun one.
Yeah, we like fun.
What is your guilty pleasure birthday dessert, Tom?
I don't really do desserts anymore
too?
Because they inflame me.
Oh.
And I have to choose between dessert and video games. And wow, I've said that so many times.
¿Por qué no los dos?
So the bad news is, though, because I'm going to Vegas.
Woo!
Let's go. So I'll be eating
Shout
bad foods and just not gaming because my hands are going to be at risk.
Yeah.
And so if I do one or the other, I'll be fine. If I do both, I'll be in pain.
So what are you going to be eating?
Somebody said black licorice.
No, I won't, because I love black licorice a lot. Shout out to my dad who clearly passed that gene on.
Weirdo.
But we'll be doing, honestly, it'll be more just like eating things like pizza crust. So
Okay.
I don't eat like a lot of dessert.
Okay.
So carbs.
She asked you a dessert question. You said, yeah, I'm going to be eating pizza crust. Come on, Tom.
He said, I'm a carb load.
Listen.
Like a pot, like a pastry.
No. Okay.
cheesecake.
A muffin?
When
Like,
Yeah, you told me you gave me
he said,
pizza
a
crust.
croissant?
You gave me pizza crust.
might be. The
A steak,
dessert
maybe?
dessert
Like, yeah,
of
maybe
choice
dessert.
would be ice cream.
What
No,
flavor?
steak. A steak's not cheating.
No, but I'm just trying to think, like, give me like something. But ice cream is good. What
Yeah,
flavor?
ice cream. If if I were at home and I could get whatever I wanted, it would be cookies and cream, Cold Stone ice cream with like
That's what
extra
I'm
cookie dough,
about.
extra chocolate
Whoa,
chips,
all right.
hot fudge.
Oh my goodness.
Like when I go, I go.
Yeah.
But because we'll be in Vegas, obviously I won't do that. We'll sit at a cool restaurant. Like
Yeah.
our thing is what we call rounds.
Okay.
So we'll go to a restaurant. The longest we've ever been when we do a buffet, this is going to shock people. This is a true story. The longest we've ever been in a buffet is 9.5 hours in a single sitting.
So you sit there the whole time?
So you're
The
the,
whole
people
time.
why they have signs for it. Like you,
Correct. But so
You're the
here's what I
people.
do. No. Here's what I do. I go up to them in the beginning. First of all, when they seat us, I tip them immediately, extravagantly. And I say,
Extravagantly.
Look the other way.
I
We're going to
bet.
be here for a while.
we're going to be here for a while. And if it's possible, I will often talk to the manager ahead of time. And I'll say, listen, I know you guys need to turn tables and you've got to make money. I will happily close my tab and reopen it every 90 minutes, every 2 hours, whatever your thing is.
Yeah.
We will pay the normal amount.
Yeah.
I'll pay double the amount, like whatever price where your staff feels like, oh my God, this is my best table.
Yeah.
I'm like, we're going to be great to the servers. We're going to tip extravagantly. We'll pay whatever the fuck we need to. I want you guys to feel like you won. And they're always like, no, you don't have to do that. And I'm like, I want to do that because I don't want you guys feeling like you got to boot me out of the restaurant. Now, it takes sometimes a lot of convincing because they feel bad or something that they're like taking money.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you guys, like you're judged by how much you make per tabletop over a period of time. So I'm like, make sure you win with us. And so usually we can get them to be like, cool. Cause I'm like, the thing I care about, I don't want to have to go back in line. So like, I just want to stay here. And so, they'll usually do it. They'll come, they'll close your tab, reopen it. And then, and because we're nice and, we're throwing money around, like we're usually pretty good.
So those 9.5 hours.
Yeah.
What do you guys do?
Okay.
That's a shift.
Like if we're really going to post up like that, we don't do that all the time.
He said bring Uno.
I would say 5 to 6 hours if we're doing a buffet is probably our normal. At a regular restaurant, you're still probably clocking in at like 4
Regular
hours.
restaurant. You're at Applebee's
if we're
for
like
4 hours.
if we're doing like a celebration.
Okay.
Because not like every night. I fucking hate being in a restaurant if I'm just there to eat.
Yeah.
I want to eat and then I want to leave.
Yeah.
Which my wife finds hilarious because she wants to sit and chat and I'm like, nah. But if we're posting up, here's what it looks like.
Okay.
So first of all, remember, my wife is my favorite human.
Yes.
So now I'm getting to sit across from my favorite human. If we're doing a post up, so we don't do this very often because I'm about to describe something. People can be like, wait, what? Like this goes against everything he said. Yes. When we post up, I turn off. I'm not trying to be ambitious, not trying to live forever. I'm just like, we would like to start with a cocktail.
Ooh.
So we will have, my wife is a genius. She has orchestrated all of this. I used to go and put everything on my plate in one big thing, eat until I felt like I was going to throw up and then leave and feel terrible the rest of the day. She's like, no. We go, we have our first cocktail on an empty stomach.
Ooh.
So you get in a happy place, but you haven't had to consume too much alcohol.
Yeah.
If we're really going to get into it, we will first do an edible or smoke.
At the buffet.
No, because then alcohol counts double. So
You're hitting the cross.
say what?
Crossfaded.
The crossfade.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, you hit the cross.
Okay, cool. Now, if you don't know how to do it, you'll fucking ruin your whole day. But I've got this dialed in now. It's like a science. So one shot is like 2 shots. So it's fucking amazing.
Okay.
You have to be very careful. You have to know what you're doing. You're going to get in trouble. So we'll come in ready. We'll have that first cocktail.
Okay.
That we might go 45 minutes an hour just on the first cocktail. Just talking.
Yeah, because now your shoes like a date. It's a date again.
Oh,
yeah,
100%.
Yeah, you're chilling. I get
Having a great time talking.
Yeah.
Then we do things in rounds. So my wife she's like really hardcore about this. You have to do them in the right order. So it has to start with cold food first. You can't start hot and then go back to cold. She just won't have it.
Okay.
And I have to say it's better. So we start with cold food, usually like a meats and cheeses kind of thing. And then you just sample. Just sample.
Yeah.
And then she'll ruin the plate, as she calls it, where she'll put like another plate on top of it so we won't keep picking at it. And then depending on like how long we're going to be there, we might do another cocktail or because we split our cocktails in half. So 1 shot equals 2 drinks for us.
Got it.
So we're going nice and slow. We're getting the buzz, like dragging it out as long as we can. And we just do that slow cocktail food for somewhere between, call it 5 and 9 hours. And that becomes our day. And we start at like noon And then we close out sometimes, like we'll be the last people in the restaurant. And they're like, okay, for real, you guys have to leave now. And that's our shtick. And we just love to hang out and chat and have fun. And sometimes I'll come with like a list of like 50 questions. And I'm like, yeah, no, we don't play around. Like when we go in, we go in.
That is cute.
Wait, can you share the questions with us?
No,
or are they
because
too
some of
intimate?
them are like hyper intimate.
Oh.
Like it, look, we've been
Hold
married
on, you're
now
asking
for
hyper
22
intimate questions
years.
at Wicked Spoon? Or what?
Yeah, well, not Wicked Spoon. That's weak sauce. That's for the noobs.
Wicked Spoon is for the noob.
Wicked Spoon's for the noobs. If you want to do a breakfast buffet, Wicked Spoon.
Wicked Spoon, yeah.
They do a great breakfast. But you don't post up at Wicked Spoon.
The
Their
Bellagio
variety is
one's
too
pretty
small.
good.
The Bellagio one's okay.
I don't remember what it's called,
okay.
though.
I don't either.
I don't either. Yep.
I think it might just be the buffet at the Bellagio. I
Oh.
could be making that up, but
There's another one that's also in Aria or something like that.
most of the hotels
Yeah.
have a buffet.
That Aria one is,
Aria one's good.
yeah.
At one point, the Planet Hollywood had a decent one, believe it or not. It comes down to like what your vibe is for the day. Do you want like fast and greasy, or do you want something that's like really nice?
Yeah.
I'm not going to give away all my Vegas secrets because I don't need anybody rolling up, but
Well, I probably know him.
probably
Yeah.
as the girl from Vegas.
As a girl from Vegas.
All right, there it is, everybody. I think we were trying to get out of here, but
Yep.
Thank you, everybody.
indeed, boys and girls, as always, thank you for joining us. We have a blast. You guys are amazing. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. And don't forget, tomorrow at 6 a.m., we have our latest tight 60 minutes dropping. So keep your eyes peeled for that. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week. We will announce the times on the YouTube community channel and Discord. And until then, my friends, be legendary. Take care. Peace.